Cactus in March. Brilliant blossoms in December and blossoming again in March.
Sure you save another seat for Maddie.
We are in the legislative building of the government of the state of New York on March 24, 2015, Anno Domini.
Is anyone sitting here?
Would you mind if I saved it?
Not at all. How many?
Just one, honey. Do you mind?
Not at all.
No.
I know who you are.
No, you have two. Do you have one next to you? You have Maddie.
Could we save one more for Maddie?
Sure. I'm Muriel.
Hi, Muriel.
I've been to one of your meetings.
Which
You
one?
did? And you came to help the animals?
Of course.
Oh, that's
You've
nice.
been to one of the veggie meetings?
Yes. And
Well, honey, will you move over and save that one for Maddie?
yes, I love Maddie.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I haven't been able to come to any other meetings because I've been either had this going on or that going on or something else going on.
Thank you for helping. Thank you for helping the animals.
I come here every year. I didn't make it last year, but
The terror they go through.
I'm very thrilled to help you get the Cats decline band. I'm thrilled to work on that bill.
Thank you so much for doing it. You shame me. The high ceiling is related to the finances, right? No ceiling.
Got it.
Oh, I know they do.
There's Tony
As I said, they've all said wonderful
and
things.
Mariel, who goes to our vegetarian meeting.
Who are taking the time to do something in association with their education, something important that is meaningful and significant. And that's what we're all doing here today.
What's that man?
And
Who is that
our New
man?
York City coordinator has just arrived. Our New York bus is here, and I was going to say, all right, let's try to drag it out to Spill. We have a strong New York City contingency. Is everything good, Joyce?
I'm from Nassau, New York.
My name is Brian Shapiro. I am the New York State Director for the Humane Society of the United States, the nation's largest animal protection
How did you
organization.
Brian Shapiro.
How did you
Thank you
get
so
away
much.
with that? It could
It really is an honor to be here today. This is a very important event, and each year our numbers get larger and larger, our voice gets louder and louder, and that is worth applauding, absolutely. Today we're going to go over some of the issues that we are going to be lobbying today. Everyone should have a packet with their materials. If you don't have a packet, there are extra copies at the front desk.
Maddie, they wouldn't give me a copy.
Terry or Eileen, and they will help you.
Packet, because
And
we're
they're
not
going to have
signed
various
up.
presentations about the bills that we're working on. I just want to plant a seed beyond the bills that we're going to be talking about this year. Please keep in mind that the skills that we learn, how many people have been to lobby day or a lobby day before? Can you raise your hand if everyone's going to take a look? Excellent. How many people, this is a new experience for you, you've not? That's great, it's about 50-50. I just want to mention before we go any further that every speaker, and some people might be out of their comfort zone, meeting with their legislators, and that's something that we're going to cover. Just keep in mind that myself, every person that is here today, the speakers, has been where you are if you've not done this before. The first time that I spoke before a town committee, this was in Woodstock, New York. This was almost 20 years ago. I was so nervous. It was on an environmental issue. My left arm started throbbing, and I thought I was going to have a heart attack at the age of like 25. And later I looked at the videotape, and I looked cool, I looked collected, and I was able to deliver the message. Really, you're meeting with people who are here to serve you. Your legislators are here to serve you. And we're going to see some slides about what you can anticipate today. So if you're new at this, welcome, congratulations. And it looks like we have about a 50-50 crowd of people who have done this before and who have not done this before. So please, don't be nervous. Be proud of yourselves that you came out, you came to Albany, and we are going to make a serious difference today.
Just tell them I'll remember November.
They have another packet to check. I got the quote. Do you know what it says?
I want to mention Adore Schomburg, who is our state coordinator, who works tirelessly.
There's a couple of bills you've been talking about today: animal confinement and consolidated animal cruelty laws, among others. You got your chart. Be brief. Their time is a little bit limited, but be concise. And
then we want to end, and we're also going to, Libby, you're here, very good. We're going to have some speakers. Humane Society of the United States works tirelessly to create a more humane society, changing policy at the corporate level, changing laws, and also doing direct assistance for animals. Most importantly, we organize at the grassroots level. If you look at some of the victories we've seen, such as Ringling Brothers finally saying that they're not going to use elephants anymore in their acts, the work and the progress being made for these attractions like SeaWorld that keep these large animals captive, this is a mainstream issue now. And the reason that it's a mainstream issue is because it's grassroots. Because people like us are afraid of politics. Get involved in your community and make a difference. We also have Bill Ketcher from the ASPCA here. I want to point him out as always. Bill, you got past security? You got past security? All right. I gave you your name. I just wanted to be careful. Thank you, Bill.
They don't have the date
So
on
this is the
here.
type of grassroots organizing that is important for us to do and to stay involved with. And we're going to learn more about it. Sir,
We're from
we
Nassau.
have any Niagara County, Buffalo represented? We have people all the way from Buffalo. Fantastic. So, and of course the Capital District area, strong representation. I would like to introduce my good friend Peter Muller, who's the director of the League of Humane Voters, to talk for a minute about the work that's being done by the League of Humane Voters here in New York State.
Thank you so much for inviting us to briefly address you.
Can't hear you.
I'm sorry, is this better?
Yes.
Okay. It's really an overwhelming sight to see all these people. The stairways are starting to get crowded. It's really beautiful to see this. The League of Humane Voters is a organization, actually a nationwide organization, that specializes in lobbying on animal protective issues. We had our big event in Albany, one of our big events in Albany last week. We met with about 40 legislators, but basically they have the same issues you're meeting with today.
The Humane Society of the United States is a proud member of the New York State Animal Protection Federation, as is the ASPCA. I mentioned my friend Bill Ketzer earlier. So for those who are here from shelters, these are the people that you need to talk to so we can stay organized. If you want to have a loud voice, we have to do it in unison. And there's no better voice for that than Libby Post from the New York State Animal Protection Federation, my good friend Brad Sher and Libby.
Thank you, Brian. Hi, folks. We're from the New York State Animal Protection Federation, as Brian has said, and we represent all the SPCA's, humane societies, and municipal animal shelters across the state. Some of you might have picked this up over on the table. We've got an app for you to use that has all the animal laws in it, and it's easy and it's free. Just search for New York State Animal Law at either the App Store or Google Play, and you can download it. We're doing updates as the laws change, but it's important for all of us to have these laws in our hands so that when we see something, we can say something and have something to back it up with. We stand shoulder to shoulder with HSUS and Brian. Brian is one of our members, and we do a lot of work here, but we also do work on the local level. And the folks that came from Oneida County, we'd be more than happy to sit and talk to you about how to make change in your localities. We do a lot of that work. We work with
And say, hey, this is a resource here, and all your officers should
Animal
have
Cruelty
this
Police
in their car,
Department.
on their phone. It's free. There's no reason for them not to download it. Thank you, Brian.
Have a great day.
Horses.
We also have a district leader program. If you're interested in volunteering for the Humane Society of the United States, many of you have my email address, and we're looking for folks in their congressional districts to take an active role and work on local laws and also federal laws as well, and to lobby and to represent the HSUS. I was going to bring some flyers. Unfortunately, UPS did not arise to the occasion, but if you're interested, please email me to find out more about volunteer opportunities with the Humane Society of the United States. So what I'd like to do is, Christine, would you want to, in just a moment, because would you want to do the presentation on the criminal laws are, where they belong, because animal cruelty is a crime. It is a crime. It needs to be treated like a crime. So I'm going to refer to Christine from the New York City Bar Association Animal Law Committee on Animal Law. And then we will talk a little bit about exactly what we're doing here and have the overview presentation. One moment, please.
Incredibly confusing and out of date. And this is a huge hurdle for law enforcement and for the courts. As I mentioned, and we've heard today, the animal cruelty laws are in the agriculture and markets law. They're not in the penal code. So they are not classified as crimes under New York state law. That's a huge problem we're going to talk about. Police are not required to receive training on agriculture and markets law, and therefore not required to receive training on animal cruelty law. So you have only some police officers that maybe should be trained. The mention will also clarify and modernize the language of these laws. And also, as a result of that, ensure that all these laws are being consistently enforced by law enforcement, lawyers, and judges. So, to go through some of these.
be available to answer some questions, and hopefully we will have some time to go over some of these issues. And once again, I want to mention, because it's in the PowerPoint, if you're asked a question and you don't have an answer, that's okay. Because you want to get the name of the staff person or the legislator you're meeting with and say, I'm going to call you back in a week with that, or in a couple of days with that answer, and start to build that connection. And then call in 2 weeks and check how they're doing with the bill that you talked to their representative. Don't be afraid to talk to your legislators. So turn it around. Take an opportunity where you don't know an answer to a question, and you say, I'm going to get that information. You have my email address, you can contact me. I have people who are experts in the field, such as Christine, such as Bruce, and others, such as Holly Cheevers, be an expert on decoying. Basically, I can tell you in a nutshell, as someone who acts as a veterinary assistant, I'm more concerned about a cat that doesn't have claws and a cat that does have claws, because that cat is more prone to biting. They compensate for the fact that their fingers have been removed. And Dr. Holly Cheevers will talk a little bit about that shortly. Pick a couple of facts to share. And if you don't have all the information, if you're asked a question, don't make something up, don't be nervous. I will get that for you. How can I contact you? Use that opportunity. Make a connection, as I said, is on each fact sheet. The bill is assigned to a committee. Many of the bills are in committees right now, and budget session is going on. Once budget is done, things move very quickly. Things move very quickly. And then the bill comes out of the committee and then to the floor for a full vote. This happens in both houses. Today, consolidated animal crimes bill. Christine talked about that. A bill to stop decoying. Holly's going to talk about that in a minute. And a ban on tail docking. My friend Bruce is going to talk about that. As I mentioned earlier, we support many, many other bills with the League of Humane Voters, with Long Island who's organizing for nature, with the Animal Alliance of Greater Syracuse, with many groups that are here today. We will be issuing memos today. Focus on those 3 bills, please. And our New York City bills as well. This is a very important bill and would not have gotten passed without the support and the grassroots advocacy of everyone in here. That's the importance of grassroots. This would not have gotten passed. You know, New York State can regulate anything they want. Tattoo parlors. They can regulate the food, the food that we eat. Puppy mills, pet dealers, not until this passed. And we're seeing many communities doing that in New York State. Snapping turtles, the first bill that was introduced, actually called for the spearing and clubbing of snapping turtles. Our state reptile. That's a good example of bills. The laws are in place. We trust our police. It's a tool for law enforcement. We want our police. Our police want to be trained in this. So the arguments you might hear, some of them you might be surprised. Again, don't become argumentative. Take mental note, because that makes us stronger when we hear these arguments and you say, you know what? This is what I think, in my own voice. This is what I think. But let me get you that information. So I hope that answers your question. One more, and then we do have Holly here from Assemblymember Rosenthal's office. Yes.
Hi, I'm trying to search for the bills online so that I can know if my Assembly person or senator is already sponsoring it.
Yes.
Do you happen to know the years of these bills?
If on that bill, if they are already a sponsor, many of them are not, so there's a good chance they are not a sponsor. You can ask them. You can say, are you a sponsor of this? That's a great segue. The question was, how do we know if our assembly member or our senator? An assembly member and a legislator are both, assembly member and senator are all legislators. So when we use the term legislator, it refers both to an assembly member and a senator. So if they are, you can say, are you a co-sponsor? If they say, we are not, we'd like more information, we'd like to think about it, we want you to be a co-sponsor, so you can ask them. Is Holly here? Holly, did you want to, oh, wonderful. Would you like to come up? Ladies and gentlemen, our good friend, Assembly Member Linda Rosenthal, sponsor of the Consolidated Animal Crimes Bill, and so many other pieces of legislation.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you. I see so many friends here in the audience and down here in the well, and this is why HSU is Lobby Day is one of my days of the year. And we have many lobbyists here lobbying for all kinds of issues, but on a day like today, we're all like-minded individuals. We all share a passion for animals, and we're working together to make New York a much better place for animals. So settling for that, like, take a back seat. I know all of you have said, no, it's not. It's our number, the place where we give up. So when I started introducing animal bills 9 years ago, Senate sponsors were here and there. Now, they take my bills and don't even ask me. They're like, we're co-sponsoring this. And sometimes there are fights among senators who didn't consult with me yet, saying, that's why, no, that's my bill. And that's a good thing because it means people are interested and people who are elected want to. So one of the first laws I passed was giving orders of protection to companion animals. And it's still, thank you. I mean, my Twitter is exploding about SeaWorld. I mean, that is awesome. Renewed push to protect elephants. We did a shark fin bill a couple of years ago, and nearly every state in the nation is working on a system to regulate puppy mills, which is one of HSUS's signature campaigns. And we passed a law here last year to allow municipalities to regulate puppy mills, and they've started doing that in many places around the state. So, I have many animal bills. Something my 2 cats who are at home are very happy about. One I've been trying for years. Teachers children. So I think Brian discussed the bills you're lobbying on today. The Consolidated Animal Crimes Bill, which I've sponsored for numerous years, but I think it's finally gaining traction because a lot of you have, over the past couple of years, talked about it, talked to legislators, and we're changing the mindset of people all over the place. They need to know that animal crimes do not belong. They're crimes. They belong in the penal law, don't they? They're crimes. Okay. Tail knocking, which we've been talking about for a long time, of cows, dairy cows don't need to have their tails knocked. And one that the cat decline bill, which will be awesome because if someone were to amputate your first joint, you'd be crippled. How could you act? How could you continue to live the life that you were meant to live? For example, cats who are declawed develop other behavioral problems. They don't use their litter box, they can't defend themselves, so they often resort to biting. That translates into them being dumped at shelters. And all the shelter groups I've spoken to are against cat declaw.
Unit there, and I would basically tell them what morally bankrupt individuals they were. But let me just make sure everyone is understanding clearly, and I know I'm speaking to the choir here, so you probably don't need to be educated or get over them. And one personal story, although it's my good friends and not mine. When I graduated from Cornell, one of my favorite classmates was a Deborah Kogan, who set up a practice in Western Massachusetts. And she did a feline-only practice, which was quite a nail bed. That cat can lose that particular nail bed because otherwise it dies of cancer. But we're not doing it because you want to keep your fancy furniture a little fancier, a little bit longer. But the New York State Vet Society will defense, so they resort to teeth. And they also are so painful in the litter box that they may lose their willingness to use the litter box. And the major reason why cats get dumped in shelters is just for that. It's because of...
They are up here, and you can get them by your last name. It does have your appointments listed. And I also want to mention, while we have Holly Cheever, Dr. Holly Cheever, I want to mention Holly Francisco, who is always someone I can go to at Assemblymember Rosenthal's office when we need to get something done in Albany. Holly's the person that we go to. So again.
Did people hear that Michael Bloomberg bought the New York Times this morning? He buys it every morning. Specifically, this is obviously true of cats and all animals, but with regard to farm animals specifically, Dr. Jane Goodall, the primatologist, pointed out, farm animals feel pleasure and sadness, excitement and resentment, depression, fear, and pain. They are far more aware and intelligent than we ever imagined. They are individuals in their own right. Biologically, physiologically, emotionally, behaviorally, other animals are complex in exactly the same way that human beings are complex. And we know that intuitively, right? We all know.
Group photo.
Let's make sure we can see everyone's faces as well. Make sure you're not behind anyone. So we've got some people in the middle here that could actually go up onto the steps up there.
Folks over here, come on a little bit, trying to get everyone into the photograph. Perhaps just a little more room over. Let's do two as we did last year, a formal one and then the one with everybody waving and having a good time.
Awesome.
That's the kind I like.
All right, formal first. Ready, guys? 1, 2, 3. All right. One fun one.
Everyone wave and cheer.
Got it. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
These are our legislators' offices, and we are to go to them and ask them to vote to help the animals.
Anyways, are you guys all here? Yes. Okay, I'm Jennifer. I'm the Assemblyman's Chief of Staff. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to take the meeting today because I just walked in and the Assemblyman is at a meeting outside of the office. So Dan will be taking.
And have you received this in advance? Have you had a chance to review any of these?
I think I'm aware of most of the issues, but I didn't receive this. Speak to him about it, and if the bill comes up for a vote, then we'll obviously have your viewpoint in that. I mean, I don't know if there's any questions that I need. I mean, from my end, if there's questions I haven't answered, I'm not sure if that's.
Oh no, you said you had a couple of questions that we couldn't answer. The
Yeah, but I can do that. But I can do the review. I mean, it's not. I mean that does create confusion though, is if there's different. I'm just from your own perspective. If you have conflicting statements coming in and you're in my chair, then you obviously have to review it from both sides.
Well, tell him that we were sorry he wasn't here. I came all the way from Nassau. All the way.
The session is when session calls, and we're the budget is supposed to be due April 1st. So obviously this is the time of year when there's a lot of action on the floor, and it's difficult to meet with everybody. So sometimes you get me.
No, we appreciate that. As far as follow-up though, would that be you or would that be
I think
the person that we saw up front or?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it would be myself or Jennifer as far as following up. I mean, I think that's you can. There's cards there if you want to take a card.
Yep. Could somebody pass me a card?
We receive a good number of emails,
Thanks.
and you're welcome to send an email if you have
Can I
any
also
questions.
have a card, please?
Sure.
So if you're committed to discussing them all with him,
Yeah,
is there a
absolutely.
time frame that we could?
I like I said, I don't. No, I don't believe so. I think
Here,
at
I have
this
a
point,
card. Did I
the
give you a
session
card?
runs to
My
June.
card? Oh,
And
thank
that's
you.
if the bills
Give you
are,
a card.
generally speaking, the flow of legislation is dictated, as I said, from the committees. So, that the committees would dictate the timing of the discussions.
Just tell him we'll remember in November.
Farrell, Farrell.
Thank you.
ELL.
Good Irish name. These are people that were involved. I don't know if they were involved in passing Buster's Law, so they're from the Ag and Markets Committee. There's a, you see them?
From the Eggs and
I believe so. If you look at that site, it's called Maddie's One Without Her Glasses, open.newyorksenate.gov. I just Googled Buster's Law.
We'll remember in November. Guess what, folks? We can't find our car. We don't know what level we're on. What did they do with people who can't remember where they parked? We were on the long level. Level 1 was wrong. Level 2 was wrong. This is level 3. And I kept telling him that it did say visitors parking.
Pockets up. Here you go. Here's one Daddy and one for Mom.
Go to Auntie Sue's house.
It was nice to see you.
Week.
Great.
Yeah.
I would love it.
I think I have some comp time actually anyway. From the New York City trip. Oh, you too. It was so great seeing you. You look so good.
A broken leg along with this. That's what did it.
Yeah, and the shoulder. Wow.
Some of Amy's things
Welcome to the Glendora Vegetarian Club. Is everybody seated? This is Mary and she's leaving. Bye, Mary. Okay. This is our head chef, Madeline.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, we're gonna.
And
I want to find out who made those brownish things. There they are. What you're eating now? No, the other ones. What are those brownish things?
That brownish thing that's in your hand?
No, not this. The other
The one with gingerbread?
Yes.
gingerbread.
Well, I'm going to try it because I haven't tried it.
And I have the recipe right here for gingerbread. I was going to make my famous banana bread, but he used all the wheat flour for his
No, I think I'll sit way over there.
There's two of them there, so if you want one. Otherwise, I've got it online. I can just email it to you because it's on my phone.
And there's two different groups of proteins here, it turns out. On the left, those are animal proteins.
It was amazing. Kids ate it. They enjoyed it better than regular banana bread.
Not yet.
Which my daughter had just gotten from a friend, and it had eggs and butter and all sorts. And they scoffed it. It was gone because I was going to bring it. And then when they ate it, I said, I'll make another one.
So I learned that
They
Timba
won't
does
see it
not
because they're
absorb
practiced.
spices.
No wheat flour left.
But isn't that what we're calling
So
tofu?
Next month.
No. This is the tofu. No, I don't think I have any in my
So
dish.
what the recipe is
That has
called?
little to do with it.
No, it's supposed to have something called Satan in it, but I had to use tempeh because I couldn't find it.
Right, so what is tempeh? It's not tofu.
Go ahead.
Which we call atherogenesis.
I want Gary to sit
So
down.
here's another thing about tasting.
We're all too busy eating.
Get some food though,
It's
Gary.
also
Yeah, I got
spurring
some.
on the development of heart disease
Everybody
as well,
got food in
through
ready
increased
eating?
cholesterol. And those
Okay,
kinds of
our first
studies
report is going to be from
really
Toby.
were quite old. There's a clear
What am I gonna
demonstration
report
here,
on?
for example, you compare
You know.
tasting.
Yesterday one.
3 or 4 things you've got to report
They
on.
computed this back in the
Shall I shut
19
this off?
teens and
Yeah. Not shut it off.
Yeah.
I'll turn it down.
Can we just mute it for a second?
Yeah, that would be great.
This elevates the blood cholesterol in the diet.
Okay, mute it. Good job.
All right. Let's see.
Well,
No, it's okay. I can stand right here. Yesterday, a few of us went down to Albany. We went down for the Humane Society was having their Humane Lobby Day, and we got a chance to meet with our legislators, which was our assembly member or senator. Some of us met with them, and the majority of us kind of met with their aides. And there was a couple bills that we discussed when we were there that they're advocating for, which I have some of the information here. If anybody that was not there would like to see. One of the bills was a bill to ban cat declaw cutting off their nails. Another bill was the tail docking of cows. They wanted to outlaw tail docking of cows. And the other one, which is a very important bill, is called the Consolidated Crimes Bill, which they want to take a lot of these animal abuse crimes and put them out of the farm and agricultural law over to the penal code. Thank you. So that's something they've been trying to do for a few years now, so it's kind of catching up, so hopefully, maybe not this year, but soon they'll be able to pass it and it'll get through, so. Last week, I attended also another lobby day with a group called the League of Humane Voters, and if nobody's familiar with that, I would
I'm familiar with it.
highly suggest taking a look, and they're a really good organization, and I'm trying to, in the month of June, get the one person who's sort of like the head of it in the Capital District to come here. Basically, that's a political organization that supports politicians that are like animal friendly. And they also have a website out there where they have like a listing of the politicians which they kind of consider to be animal friendly that support bills for animals. That one was really good. There wasn't as many as what was there yesterday, but it was a smaller, tight-knit group. And we didn't just meet with, you know, the elected people in our district. It was actually people that were on different committees, so you kind of got to talk to them too. So tomorrow, if anyone's interested, this is over at Albany Law School.
Yeah, that's
They're doing a presentation. It's let me see what it's actually called. It's called Four-Legged Clients: The Place of Animals in Our Lives in the Law, and that's tomorrow from 2 to 5 p.m. And that's really good that Albany Law is doing that. It's kind of showing that they're taking animal crimes more seriously. Also, that's going to be in attendance that day is going to be Wayne Parcell, who is the head of the National Humane Society. So he's kind of
No, you don't. The Humane Society of the United States.
well, yeah. So he's going to be there.
That's who was speaking yesterday,
No,
right?
that was Brian Shapiro from New York State.
He's the local.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, okay.
This is the
My
big,
mistake.
this is the
Okay.
biggie guy.
The biggie guy,
Yeah,
huh?
that's the biggie guy. That's going to be there for that.
He has the
so.
most dogs.
He makes the most money. And in June?
Well, June, there's the Animal Advocacy Day, which is taking place down at the Capitol, and that is something that is put on by Assemblymember Tedesco. He puts that on, and that's where a lot of the politicians are there with their animals. And yeah, that one is really good. I get that one and the Humane Lobby Day mixed up. That one is where a lot of the rescue organizations within the area are there, and they have booths and tables set up. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, that's how it was last year.
Any questions?
One other thing too, and next month, there's this right here. Unfortunately, it falls on the same day as your vegetarian meetup is Cowspiracy, which is a free show at Hudson Valley Community College.
I'll have to change this day.
This is really good. There's actually going to be a couple people there. There's going to be Kathy Stevens from the Catskill Sanctuary is going to be there, as well as another guy, which his name is not on that, is Demo something.
9
He
o'clock
is.
we can make.
He was actually featured in the movie that you'll be seeing that
It's
night.
at 9 p.m.?
No, till 9. 6 to 9.
Oh, 6 to
you're
9.
right.
It's hard without glasses.
Yeah, I know. Well, they've already changed it 3 times, so.
Welcome, Barbara.
Hey, Andy. Hi, Barbara.
So that's going on.
How are ya?
And the person who's setting that up, Valerie, she was actually going to speak for your club that night, but because they had to switch the schedule around so they can accommodate Demo to talk at this event, so she had to cancel. So she says that she's going to be here the following month of May to talk.
She's not coming in April.
She's not coming in April, but in May. And then I figure June, if I can sort of solidify it with Monica from the League of Humane Voters to come here.
Any comments or questions?
I do. I'm interested to tell everybody that.
Oh, did I say about the next month with the ASPA and their lobby day coming up? Well,
Excuse us, madam. No,
That's
go
fine.
ahead.
next month, the ASPCA is also doing a lobby day similar to what we went to yesterday with the Humane Society. I do not know what bills they're supporting, but here's the thing right here, and you can just go to the website. I don't know what bills they're going to be supporting. I wrote to them asking them if they can send me what bills they're going to support. So when they know, they'll send it out and let us know.
Madeline Shep, would you please first of all pass Gary's burgers, his sweet potato burgers,
I'd be
and
happy
his
to.
other food that he brought
And
in?
amazingly, I can probably talk and do that at the same time.
All right.
So what I wanted to say, because I was up there with Tony yesterday, he very nicely invited me and Joyce. We did not see any of our actual elected officials. They were not there. We
No,
only
they
got
weren't.
to see their designees, which I found to be really
I did
kind of
too.
crappy because people made appointments It's not like it was a big surprise, and
Right.
people just showed up at their doorstep. So, would you?
Oh, you can.
So anyhow,
You wanna take one and I'll pass it?
Tony, what I took away from that yesterday is that we really need to be talking to the Ags and Markets Committee. Because the way I understand it is, unless the bill's there,
Right.
nobody can vote on it.
Yes, I know. Unfortunately, with that committee, you're kind of up against a wall because the assembly member who is in charge of that is McGee. And
I would know Mr. McGee.
yeah, he is, he's all for his farmers and anything he thinks is gonna be hurtful to farmers,
There's room over there in the
he's
back.
very stubborn on.
But he does not make the final decision, does he?
Well, if he lets it out of the committee, then it goes to the floor for a vote. So he could even let it out of committee and then it could go to the floor for a vote and they could just say, no, we don't want this. And then it's squashed right there. One other thing I did find out about yesterday. Now, well, let me backtrack. I also have here the agenda for the League of Humane Voters, if somebody wants to take a look at that. We did the same thing on their lobby day, but it was 9 bills that they supported. So, and they met with, McGee. As well as people that were heads of other committees. Now, one other thing, when you met yesterday with your representative, wasn't there some, because Chris was telling me that somebody had called his office from the Columbia County SPCA?
He claimed that the Columbia Green SPCA said they were not in favor of the declawing bill because they thought it would prevent people from adopting cats if they couldn't declaw them, which is very, very strange to me because I can't imagine a shelter that promotes declawing. And if they do, holy smokes.
Chris reached out to them, first through an email to see if that is true, but she hasn't heard anything back yet, and she is going to call them tomorrow. So.
You can tell her to speak to Andrea.
One other thing too, if anybody's online, I created a meetup group, if anybody's familiar with meetup or not. Capital District Animal Advocates, so. If you want to join that, that's where I have a lot of things posted.
Capital District Animal Advocates.
Yes. That's where I have a lot of things posted about things coming up, because next month also too, the circus is coming in town, so I know that people are going to be protesting for the circus.
Oh, terrible, it's terrible thing. Circus and rodeos, terrible.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Now, Tony, is anything else?
I think so, but I can't remember right now.
All right. Madeline, will you please tell the folks what is in our recipe tonight?
Okay, Glendora gave me a recipe that's supposed to be a Chinese chicken and rice dish. Vegan. And even though I've been on and off for many, many years, I never cook, just give you fair. I've always eaten just free range. I really don't cook. So this is a new one for me, and I did not know about substitutions and stuff, and I could not find chicken flavored seitan. Is that how you say it, Andy? Where's Andy? He knows everything. You know how to say it?
It's close enough.
Okay.
I've heard it
Many likes it?
I've heard it differently.
I like
How
it.
many likes
good.
it?
So
Helen, did you
anyhow,
like it?
I substitute the tempeh for it, and I thought I'd use some turkey flavorings to make it taste more like chicken. Tempeh does not take
How many
spices
liked
well.
it, please? Let me see your hands. Let me see the hands. How many liked it?
Oh, good. Well, anyhow, so this is my first try at it. I think that the broth is very tasty. The vegetables are very tasty. I think that the cornstarch, if anybody knows, if you cook when you double a recipe, you should probably not double the cornstarch, right?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't see anything wrong with it. I like
Well, like I said, everything came together well. It looked really good. It doesn't taste too terrible, and for my first try, I liked it.
Now,
And
the
there's
second recipe was green beans, tomato soup, Morning Star, meal starters, Morning Star crumbles, and
that's
what did I
delicious.
say? Tomato, green beans, and cloves. ground clothes. I liked and mashed potato on top. How many liked it?
It is. I love
Did you like it, Helen?
What is this?
That's the tofu.
Did you have it?
Doesn't taste like tofu.
You can have all of those.
It
things.
is
You can have
silky
potato.
and it's been pureed.
Okay, you can have tomatoes.
Yes, it's tempeh.
You can have
Right.
Morningstar.
No, there's tofu in it also.
Can't you?
Well, they're
And
both
cloves.
from the beans, but they're different.
Now, Gary,
ways of
would
being
you go
printed.
get yours
Right, they're not
and
the
tell
same.
people,
There's
what it
tempeh in the
is,
sauce
Gary?
and then there's
So
silky
yeah,
tofu on
the
top.
no,
Got both on one.
it's sweet potato patties.
It's
Well, it's
delicious.
sweet potato and quinoa, so it's just it's 2 cups of sweet potatoes, 1 cup of quinoa.
Cup of what, dear?
Quinoa.
What's that?
Oh, that's
It's
good
a grain,
stuff.
right?
It's
Well,
a grain.
it's kind of a grain, yeah. It's not really a grain.
It is. It really is a grain. It's just unusual because it actually contains complete protein
yeah.
instead of only partial protein.
It's more. I thought it was more closely related to
grain.
like lentil, like a lentil.
It's not a lentil.
Oh, it's a grain.
But anyway, we're not going to argue what quinoa is. That
It's
no.
tri-colored quinoa. so-
Yeah. Oh, it's tricolored quinoa. So it's an oatmeal and what else? Flaxseed.
Oh, good.
Curry powder, garlic powder, sea salt.
That's it. So you just mash everything together, form it into these little patties, and put it in the oven.
Oh, you baked it, okay, great.
Baked it, yeah.
And you know,
Thank you, Gary.
if you
Now,
make
you-
it bigger, you could put it on like a hamburger bun, but these little ones are meant to go in like, what did you say, like a wrap or a
You
pita or
can put it in
something?
a pita or a wrap.
No, you can finish it up.
And what was the second recipe?
You must
dear?
bring double next time.
That was gingerbread, which, did
Is that on
anybody
the
get a
table?
chance to go
I've
get
not
it?
tried
We
it yet.
pass it around to everybody. And that he made with, do I have to read the whole recipe or just the ingredients? Yeah. Wheat flour, white flour, ginger, cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, baking powder, applesauce, energy egg, flaxseed meal, baking cocoa, plumped raisins, and almond milk.
Oh, thank you.
Raisins are good.
And Mr. Andrew Grimm, what did you bring us?
I told us, not right now, but thank you. Brought 2 things, one of which, the biscuits, are not vegan, unfortunately.
They're delicious.
So I wanted to mention that as an
Well, that's
aside.
good, Gary.
The other one is what I call a roughie, a fruit roughie, as opposed to a smoothie, because I just chop fine banana, apple, orange, and raspberries, and then add to it non-dairy yogurt that's only 1% sugar. And started doing some of that.
Is that being passed around?
What's in the other
No,
one?
It didn't get passed around yet.
There are
Do you want me?
Yeah, can you
eggs
pass it around?
in the
I think
one.
that's this one. Is it
That's
this
the
one?
pen.
Andrew Grimm.
In the red?
Yeah, that's the biscuits, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but
And you dip them in the roughie?
Okay.
Well, you can do whatever you like, I mean, you can,
I gotta try one while I'm here. I guess we'll.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
the,
Right, to put the
the one
rough
got a bit overcooked, that's Irish soda bread.
Ah,
But mainly they're a biscuits underneath.
well, it looks delicious.
Some of them are plain biscuits and others are sweet potato biscuits.
Okay.
There's
But just so you
also,
know, it's not vegan.
Naomi, would you kindly, thank you very much.
There's also vegan apple crisp, and it's supposed to be whipped cream, but it turned into just cream. But it's vegan. It's vegan.
Do we all have some, please?
You have to. It's.
Has to be dished out.
Yeah, it
into
has to
the
be
bowl.
dished out, right?
Yeah.
Right. So we will have some, absolutely, as soon as I'm done eating.
When will we have it? After a little while?
Yes, it's dessert. Yep.
Naomi, would this article went into the advertiser to come out tomorrow? No, next Tuesday. Naomi, would you read it to us, please?
Both sides?
Yes, please.
Okay. Glendora Vegetarian Club. Mercy for Animals continues its rugged expose of the horrors inflicted by factory farming on messy, innocent, lovable cows, pigs, hens, turkeys, horses, water animals, horses, and jungle life. So does People for Me ethical treatment of animals. PETA. Physicians for Responsible Medicine agitate against animal experimentation and laboratory atrocities. Legal Defense Fund for Animals bring solace to curb animals' agony. Vegan outreach steps its lamb sign to current millions of college students to veganism. Tirelessly, the American Vegan Society, fearless, is message of living harmlessly. Farm animal rights movement realizes voluminously in Washington, D.C. Albany Vegan Network Incorporated, and 3,000 people each year to wake the conscience from wrong to right. And here, in your backyard, the Glendora Vegetarian Club offers its help for health through right eating, for helping animals, and for loving care of the planet. Next meeting is 412-91115 at 6 p.m. Nassau Free Library. The phone number is on this page. 518-610-515.
Good job, Naomi.
Thank you.
Gary, would
Yeah.
you read this to the folks, please? This
Yeah.
was in the advertiser on March the 20th.
Okie dokie. Glendora's Vegetarian Club. Hi folks. You can put into a large skillet 2 cups of vegetable stock, 4 tablespoons of soy sauce, 3 tablespoons of lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and 1 onion slice. Let it simmer gently for 5 minutes. Add 8 ounces of vegetarian chicken nuggets and 8 ounces of broccoli florets. Continue to simmer until onion slices are very tender. Puree 8 ounces of silken tofu, 5 tablespoons of cornstarch, and a dash of turmeric in a blender until smooth. Pour it into the simmering mixture but do not stir. Swish the pan a little so the liquid will cover the tofu. Simmer for about 7 minutes until the tofu feels firm. You should have sauce left in the pan. Pour the delectable mixture onto 4 bowls of cooked brown rice and serve it to 4 delightful people. Did you know that vegan whipped cream tastes better? In a blender, puree 1 cup of soy milk, 1/4 cup of refined coconut oil, melted, 1/4 cup of cashews, 1/4 cup of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. When the mixture is smooth, pour into a container and let it refrigerate overnight. Then whip it until soft peaks form, about 7 minutes. Let it thicken with more refrigeration. Our next meeting is March 25th, Wednesday, 6 p.m, Nassau Free Library. Call Glendora 518-610-5810.
You're a good reader, Gary.
Has anybody actually been able to whip soy milk?
You're welcome, my dear.
I wanna get that cream.
Mr.
Have you got
Tony, would you read that one? When was that in the advertisement?
Have you ever made it?
March 5th, 2015. The next Glendora Vegetarian Club. The next meeting is March 25th, the last Wednesday of the month, 6 p.m. Nassau Free Library, 18 Church Street, Route 20. We are starting our 2nd year. What are you going to do? I don't know. Do you have any ideas? Glendora will give you $50 cash to be the person who brings in the best vegan recipe on paper as judged by Joyce Baum.
I didn't read that.
Who is being paid $25 to referee.
Is that on there?
Yeah, that's there.
I don't.
So you better report on your
I hope
tax.
the IRS don't get hold of that.
I have my recipe on paper.
All right, there you go.
We all learned our lesson last time. Yeah.
We cannot have a meal the way we used to, but we can have a delectable vegan refreshments. We have thrilling news. The Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee has stated consistent evidence indicates that, in general, a dietary pattern that is higher in plant-based foods such as vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, I think that's how it is. Legumes. Nuts and seeds, and lower in animal-based foods is more health promoting and is associated with less environmental impact. GH germinations and energy, land and water use than it is in the current average U.S. diet. Paul Glendora.
Joyce, do you have any suggestions as to how we can improve the articles in the advertising? Not me, no. I mean, they could be bigger written. You mean what they're saying or how?
In any way, how could they be improved?
I'll have to think about that.
Johanna is on her way here, you know. She's coming tonight. Johanna
Really?
is coming, the raw food specialist.
Is the size of the ad, the price of the ad varies according to how much you put into it, right?
Yeah.
No,
And
but
then, is there a difference between having a picture versus the line print as to the cost, or how does that work?
I don't know if there is. They do it or they don't do it. It's really up to them. I would pass around to you some pictures that I just sent them to put into their articles.
Glendora, do you have to pay for that article?
No.
No.
Oh, you don't?
So it has
Only
to be
business.
more.
Only business.
Only businesses, oh, I see.
So
Is this you?
the size has nothing.
Yes, that is
So
I.
you've been to this before?
So
I have
you-
not.
you used to
This
be
is
an entertainer.
yeah. I'm going tomorrow.
I still am an entertainer.
Yeah, definitely go because with Wayne.
I'm more an entertainer than I am anything serious, I'll tell you that.
She's pretty entertaining.
Want to put them on the table, honey?
Yeah.
Glendora, since we got here late, you might have reported already.
What do you say?
Since we got here late, you might already have reported on that science, or it was a program last Saturday that you attended at the Science Museum in Schenectady?
Yes. Would you like to hear that, folks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Schenectady County Museum decided to do a exhibit upon space travel. And since Glendora had a program called Glendora and Satellite 6, they made a whole case full of Glendora and Satellite 6.
Wow.
And the little children came to see me. The little darling children that I talked to on television for all those years, 1955 to 1962, except those little darling children are now this tall.
Yeah.
And I have to look up to them, and they're now over 60 years old. But they came and they said the sweetest things, such as, "We still love you," you know. And it's just that whatever goes into a child's heart when the child is young stays with them for 60 years. All right. Does that take care of that, Andrew?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, that's, oh, that, ooh, it's real. It's good.
I'm going to pass these around, and if you folks would just continue to pass them around down and get them onto this table,
Okay.
would you please?
You know, I have a question. I was I went looking to watch some of your videos up on YouTube, and I gotta say, there's an extraordinary amount of videos that you have up there.
It's
like
only
over-
2,500.
Only 2,500, yeah. Now, were you, because there was one I saw, did you actually go on David Letterman?
Oh, sure.
Yes. Oh, it's a
Yeah, you
terrific
missed
one.
it. Madeline
did-
played
I
it a couple of
know.
weeks, couple of months ago, didn't she? Madeline, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
One other thing, and I'll provide more information about this later on too, with horse racing. This is the New York State Humane Association, which is Dr. Holly Sheaver and Sue McDonough, who is also very active, you know, against horse racing. And actually, I believe one of the ladies that was in meeting with us with Senator Marcione's group is actually the president of the New York State Humane Association. She was kind of sitting up against the wall. So, but in May, they're going to have a booth at the Tulip Fest down in Albany. They're looking
good.
They're looking for volunteers to kind of like man the booth.
Okay.
So, but when I find more information, you know, I'll send it on and I'll put it up on my meetup group.
This publication, I'm going to pass it around to you,
I like your
is
soda
from
right
Mercy of Animals, and it's
I know.
a log of the wonderful things they have done and how they go in undercover. Of course, they can't do that anymore. Go in undercover and show the cruelty. And the people, thank you, will not let them go in the cover because they are so ashamed of what they do to animals.
Right.
And so just tell people that the next time you eat an egg, or the next time you eat a chicken, this is what you're eating.
Oh, cute little baby chick.
Yesterday, after after the Humane Lobby Day, me and another guy went
Another
up-
guy and I.
Oh, another guy.
I'm an English major.
We went up to Glenville Town Court because there is, his name is Rockwood, and he runs, I think it's Windy Winds Organic Farm, and he was brought up on 17 counts of
Saw
animal
that,
abuse
yeah.
charges.
Yep.
But by the time I got up there, the case was adjourned till April. So, and he had a pretty strong following up
He
there
certainly
in
did.
support for him. So.
Support for him.
And thousands of dollars being sent in to pay his,
$28,000.
his,
I think.
they're saying that his situation was brought on by frozen pipes. A brutal winter.
Yeah.
Many animals got frostbite this year.
Yeah.
He had 30 pigs with frostbite.
You know, without really kind of knowing everything, it's like when you kind of read the report, the police report and the news and stuff, you say, yeah, okay, wow. You know, but then he has a lot of supporters online that are supporting him and stuff too. So it's kind of, you know,
It's
it'll-
hard to know
yeah, it's
which
hard
way
to know
to go.
which way it's going. It almost, you know, some of the people there were protesting against factory farms. It's like there's a lot more worse conditions in factory farms. But, you know, you're coming after this guy, you know, it's
Right.
like they kind of view it as, you know, big government with factory farms are kind of coming in after the little mom and pop farmers.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
This, folks, is Veggie Cat. These are all recipes, vegetarian recipes for, I think they're vegan, for cats. My cat, as you know, is a vegan, and
Wow.
she's 11 years old. Her name is .com.
Can I just the cream on the apple crumbles?
I think it's good.
You like it?
I don't,
It's
sure.
supposed to be whipped cream, but it wouldn't whip.
Well, I
So
know.
it came out good anyhow.
Did you have an electric?
I have seen
I
it
did.
in whipped cream form, and it's
I
very
wish
good.
I could have done it. I beat
Yeah, the
that for
Seventh
10
Day
minutes.
Adventists
would have had
Is the recipe in
when
that?
we had our
Have we
cooking
got the
class. You
recipe
weren't
for
there
that?
that day.
You actually just read it.
It was in
there
the
that
it was
day.
in
It was
the
in the thing
clip,
you
it
read,
wasn't
yeah.
in the
Pass it around.
advertising.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I
Oh,
put
pass
flaxseed
them around,
in it
please.
also.
Keep
Oh, did
passing
you?
Yeah,
Just keep
I
passing them around till they
discovered
come around
the
here.
joy of coconut oil.
Oh, I
Oh,
love coconut
my.
oil. It's good.
I can eat that on a spoon. I know that sounds gross, but it's delicious.
Was it somebody here that said canola oil is no
Yes.
good? I
No
went
good.
and told somebody who's a chef and she was shocked.
Yeah,
Why is it no good?
it's got to do with
GMO.
It's almost all GMO in
Right.
Canada.
and the way they cook it.
Genetically modified.
And also the way they extract it
Right.
as well is
Well,
bad.
they heat it
Yeah.
Oh, heat it.
instead of
Oh.
like the better ones are cold pressed.
Right.
Here's
So now I don't know who it was, so I gotta report back and tell them.
And
Well,
now,
you know, I mean, if you listen to to
It's here.
Esselstyn, Campbell
It's here.
Esselstyn, and no, sorry, Caldwell Esselstyn and Colin Campbell, they advocate not using
Yeah.
any oil.
yeah, definitely.
At all?
It's here,
No.
folks,
Right.
poking out of the snow.
Oh yeah, look at that.
The little
Wow.
crocus.
Yeah.
Did not see it.
Maddie, where'd you get the apples? Are they real apples?
They're real apples.
They're good, that's the difference.
Yeah.
Very good.
Anybody need a wig?
Thank you.
This is the
Not
latest
yet.
book on
What's
wigs.
that doing in a vegetarian?
You want to be a very beautiful vegetarian.
What's wrong with our natural hair?
Yeah,
We're
right.
natural and loving it. Not really.
No, yes.
But
Natural
you know,
and loving
I
it.
had 20 years of dyeing it. I thought I'm done.
Never anymore.
Too many chemicals.
Now we're up to Joyce.
And every second
Joyce
you've
Baum,
got
would
that
you be
little
so kind to read the convocation, this card?
I want someone to tell me about the popcorn when they get a chance.
Why is that you need?
I don't know.
Who's going to bring popcorn? Somebody was going to bring popcorn.
There is popcorn over there.
I gotta read
Popcorn.
that.
Did you bring some? We'll pass
Where
it
did you
around.
get it?
Animal Rights Conference.
Yes, go ahead, Joyce.
Get informed, get inspired, get active. Be sure to include the Animal Rights National Conference in your summer plans. July 30th, August 2nd, Washington. Do I have to read the whole card?
I can give some more information about that because I'm going to be heading down to that.
God bless you.
Yeah, it happens from July 30th to August 2nd. They get a lot of the national, heads in there, the head of PETA will be there, as well as a lot of other people. It looks like it's pretty good. It's very educational, very informative. It's looks like it'll be a really good time. So, and you can get discounted rooms if you decide you want to go down. You can also sort of share rooms with people, and it's
Where is it?
Alexander, Virginia.
Oh.
So,
Oh, that's all right.
it is actually what's good about it because when I did MapQuest, it came up at being like 400 miles, or it was either 400 or 399, and they offer a discount for long distance travel. So if you're beyond 400 miles, you can get a ticket in there much cheaper. Right now, early bird tickets are $120 for the entire time, but if you over 400 miles, it's only $80. So, and I have it up there. I've been actually advertising on some of the groups that I'm in, trying to get people to go. Maybe next year, if like people go to this and get more word out there, maybe I'll like just kind of rent sort of like a little mini bus and kind of go down, chip in and do that.
Okay, Joyce, since you didn't get a chance to read, would you read any 2 paragraphs? Folks, I'd like to have Joyce read 2 paragraphs, pass the magazine to Doug, and have him read 2 paragraphs on the next page, and Barb, if you would read 2 paragraphs on the next page, and so on, please.
What am I reading?
Vegan Generation, any 2 paragraphs, read. Oh, thank you for that.
I guess you can pick.
What do you mean, like Vegan Explorer? You want me to read Vegan Explorer?
Sure. Any 2 paragraphs, honey.
Proceed. Select 3 major sources of information. Vegan Person Book Documentary Event, American Vegan Magazine. Learn about your new options and healthy plant foods while eliminating animal products. Decide on your goal, number of days to try veganism. Pick any number of days. Most people try a week, a month, or specific days of the week to get started. Enjoy this compassionate, healthy journey. For help, see, quote, New Vegans, unquote, on website. Succeed. Tell us your success story. Will you become a vegan guide and further the ripple effect? Who gets it next?
Yeah, I guess.
Thank you. Doug, would you go to the next page and read 2 paragraphs?
Yeah, all right. Okay.
What's special about the popcorn?
This is apparently how to participate. So I'm going to read 2. Ask, arrange, attend. Host an event, and then it refers in here to a restaurant story. Suggest adding, there's a story in here on that. Offer a cooking class or food sampling event. Small things count too. See helpful bites, which is a column here. There's another one relating to materials. Provide information for your guests. Books for display or sale, we've seen that here. American Vegan Magazine. Vegan Generation, postcards from AVS. Literature from PCRM, Vegan Outreach, or Farm. Those are just some hints as to how to get started in some of these. All right?
Doug, thank you.
Okay.
Do we want to do any of those things, folks?
I think so. I think it
I think
combine them with some of our things.
thing's a good idea.
We'll do that. How would we do it, Gary?
Do we do that? Well, I mean, so we all bring along our, if you use a cookbook maybe that you really like, you can bring that along one week to share, and just see what what your favourite recipe out of that book is, or
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Well, the ayes have it.
Oh right, that's nice.
I definitely always ask for vegan when I go to a restaurant. And I found that I have to specify. That means don't cook my pasta in butter. Because they just think no cheese and no meat. They don't even no egg. I have to say to them, no, we don't want the salad with the egg in.
Yeah. You know, and the other thing about that, I was actually in, does anybody go to Subway? Yeah. Now, you know, there's no vegan, you can have, you know, if you want to go and have a sandwich that's all vegetables, well, you know, you can do that. But if you wanted to put on, you see, when I went in there, I'd just been at the supermarket, so I had a tub of hummus with me. So I asked for a sandwich, and they put all the vegetables on, and the vegetables are nice and fresh, and they put it all on a sandwich, and then I said, oh, I'm going to get some hummus. And they said, we don't do hummus, but a lot of people ask for it. And I said, well, I've got my own.
No.
But, you know, the fact that the lady said behind the counter said a lot of people are asking for
Yeah,
that.
it's interesting.
You know, it makes you think that there's a bit of a groundswell. So, you know, I said to her, well, you know, you want to talk to corporate about that, and maybe hummus could be incorporated in, you know, Subway's menu.
You just gotta go online to their site and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
continuously
Just a bit of
write
lobbying,
to
you
them.
know, yeah.
Right.
I bought a side dish at Hannaford this afternoon that had nothing but vegetables in it, no dressing, so you had to find your own dressing, but it had several kinds of lettuce and tomatoes and red onion and red cabbage. I mean, not a lot of these because it was only a little 3-ounce container.
Yeah.
But it was very, very good. It was nice to have it. And I came back and used Veganese.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
tasted great.
You read us 2 paragraphs, honey, from your page?
I'm sorry?
2 paragraphs from your page.
Oh. Oh, cooking class food sampling. Cooking classes empower individuals and show how easy vegan food is to make. Tasting is key to creating a lasting positive impression. Offer a class or invite friends to attend a class with you. For kids, use apples, bean dip, and carrot cake. Kids, teach yourself to cook. Food sampling events help people try vegan food and receive basic information. Grant applications are available from Veg Fund or you might have food samples as part of a larger event such as with a speaker at a library. Ask local restaurants or food companies to donate vegan samples. Follow local health department regulations.
Thank you, dear. Madeline, will you read us 2 paragraphs, next page?
Sure. Okay, well, that's a huge paragraph. All right. In general, vegans favor a predominance of health-sustaining unrefined foods such as brown rice and whole grain bread over their white counterparts and prefer natural sweeteners such as dried fruit or maple syrup over high fructose corn syrup and white sugar. Fresh ingredients create flavor. Flavor enhancement is available from herbs, spices, salt, pepper, and soy sauce, as well as the food itself, so the dishes need not be bland. Many ethnic dishes are suitable for vegans. If alcohol is desired, refer to barnivore.com for listings of alcoholic beer, wine, and liquors without animal ingredients or fining agents. Also non-alcoholic beer and wine. Vegan cuisine has developed rapidly in the recent years. Vegan fare can meet the needs of many classes of diners, including those with health concerns, ethical or religious food restrictions. As with any other group of diners, there may be some people with low salt, gluten-free, or other dietary restrictions, and people who do not consume any alcohol. Please keep vegan food separate from animal products during all stages of preparation.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Over here, Gary, is the place where the rubbish here.
Oh, is it okay?
It's over there. Mr. Grimm, Mr. Andrew Grimm, you're center stage.
Well, do you want to, I can read, the next page is substitutes for...
Yeah, that's good. Would you read some of the
What is that?
substitutes?
Okay.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Egg substitutes. 1 egg is equal to 1/4 cup silken tofu, or 1/2 mashed banana, 1/4 cup applesauce or pureed fruit, 1/2 cup of soy or rice yogurt.
Well, let me ask you folks, the reason you have an egg, isn't it to hold the stuff together?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, will that stuff hold it together?
I
That you
can't
just
see
read?
applesauce holding anything together, but
Flaxseed serves that purpose. Ground flaxseed or flax meal is a good substitute.
What is it, honey?
Ground flax. But
Flaxseed.
not the whole seed, but you ground it.
Yeah.
Grind it.
Put it in a
And then
blender.
you see down there at the end of the table, would you hold it up, Barbara? You see that egg replacer? See that box of egg replacer?
Oh, that's it here.
Yeah.
That's it
You
here.
see that? That's arrowroot. Or
oh, you can use
tapioca.
that to replace eggs, arrowroot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
didn't know
a tablespoon of that is equal to an egg about.
Really?
Yeah.
It's in the
That-
recipe.
That's in the
Can I see
ginger.
that?
That's in the gingerbread.
And our
Oh, it is?
ginger-
Really?
yep.
Ooh, this has got some in it too.
All right, Andrew, thank you. Keep going, honey.
Oh, they did mention flaxseed. Plus water and oil and baking soda. And then potato or cornstarch. Potato starch or cornstarch. And then 1/4 cup of mashed white potatoes or sweet potatoes. Tomato paste, cooked oats, breadcrumbs, flour, and baking soda. Now, dairy alternatives, milk, equal portion of the non-dairy, the typical non-dairy ones like almond, oat, soy, hazelnut, or rice, and if I could add coconut, that's not listed here. Creams, almond milk, or soy milk, coconut milk, mashed potato, pureed garbanzo beans, pureed tofu, soy sour cream, soy whipping cream, or soy creamer. And someone asked before about the creams, you know, that recipe would be about 5 ingredients. I've made a good cream with using just raw cashews and water in a blender.
Definitely.
And then maybe...
And it makes a whipped cream?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it comes
Isn't
out very
that
well.
kind of what you do?
Yeah, but yeah.
And it's not loaded with sugar for sure, but you could always put a touch of something in there if it was
Sweeten it
too...
up.
Yeah,
Water and cashews?
that's all it takes,
We're
and
gonna have to
whips
try
up
that. It
very
doesn't
well.
sound like it would whip to anything.
No,
to me, but-
but I've had it and I've made it myself, so...
With nothing but water and cashews.
Yes,
And you put it. What do you put it in the blender?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what.
Alright, we're going home to try
And they
that.
say
We have
raw cashews, you could probably use, if you only got roasted at home, you could try, I
Yeah, we
don't
know, we
see why
go
you
raw.
couldn't.
You think it would have made a difference because the cashews had salt on them?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm just saying, if you wanted to try it, just if you only got cashews at home, you don't normally have them, but if you got a few extra, whether they're roasted, salted, or whatever.
Okay, Andrew, thank you.
I just have a quick question for Gary, because last time here,
Yeah.
when I was sitting next to you, I saw you write the recipe. You know, you had a recipe that you
Yeah.
wanted to present, and I remember it had quinoa. Was that the one you did
Yeah, that was
tonight?
the sweet potato and quinoa
Yeah, I
patties.
wanted to. So I'm glad you're here tonight because I
Yeah.
did want to ask you about that.
I'll tell you, if you put it on a burger with, ketchup, onions, tomato, lettuce, it's kind of different.
Yeah,
But it's still awesome.
yeah. Thank you.
With, by a show of hands, and don't say it out loud, what's this woman's name?
Joanne.
And who knows,
so
but
familiar.
who's this woman's name?
You wanna know? Shall we tell you?
Joyce knows.
Don't say it out loud, no.
No, I did.
Joanne, I thought.
What do we win?
This is my dear friend Pat Sarr, and she
Pat.
was our director of the library for 15 years, and she's in retirement now.
Why do we know that?
Congratulations.
Now, everybody go around the table and say your name for Pat.
Helen Chambers.
Naomi.
I'm Gary.
Tony. Joyce.
Doug?
Barbara?
Maddie.
Andy.
Debbie.
Nice to meet you all.
Okay, if you would read 2 paragraphs from yours. I think you can skip that page because that's the recipes we did tonight.
Yeah. Okay.
Madeline, can Pat have some to eat?
Would you like something?
No, this is good. I just.
There's so much food. That was
Yeah.
only one of the desserts, and there were plenty of desserts as well.
Yeah.
So you've missed out on a lot.
This is our.
Definitely, well, the sweet potato burgers are gone, so you can't have those, but there's other
There's still
things over
plenty.
there. Is there more apple
Pat, I'd be happy to
pie?
get you something.
There's some apple pie. Apple crumble?
Apple crisp, yeah.
Apple crisp, okay.
I'll help myself, okay, why don't you?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Wow, so many choices. And I only get to read 2 paragraphs now.
2 paragraphs.
I became a vegan. Back in the spring of 1991, I put the television on one evening and just happened to catch a program that changed my life more than I knew at the time. I was astounded when I saw the last 10 seconds of the video showing a sick milking cow being dragged off the tractor for slaughter. The poor cow couldn't even stand on its own 4 legs. I was heartbroken. I can't read this now. It's getting bad. All right, I'll try and...
Then don't read it, honey.
Yeah, it's...
No, don't. I understand.
You know what I'm
Go
saying.
to
So
another
let's
page.
skip to the bottom where it
Yeah.
says 11 years ago, as a result of a vegetarian Summerfest presentation by Freya D. Dinshaw. I stopped eating dairy. This lifestyle change was extraordinarily emotional for me to accomplish at the age of 67. So you see, it's never too late to make these changes. It's been a fulfilling trip through these later years of my life, a trip that I would like to invite you to share with me.
Look who's here, Johanna.
Yesterday, that lady, who was the one that owns the sanctuary by here?
Now, I'd like to have you go
What the
around the
hell, I
table
met
again.
Robin.
Where are you at?
Robin.
Say your name for Johanna.
Her name is
Pat
Robinson.
Hi, Helen. Naomi. Hi, Naomi.
Hi,
My name's
Gary.
Carol.
Gary?
Hi, Gary.
Tony. Joyce.
Tony.
Doug.
Joyce.
Doug.
Doug,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember
Yeah.
you too, of course.
Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
Maddie.
Andy.
Debbie.
Yeah,
Andy
Andy
Grimm.
and Debbie. Nice to see you all.
Folks, this is one of the best pictures I ever saw of man and dog. I'd like to pass that around to you. Could Helen, could Pat and Johanna see it?
What's her name?
For some reason, I thought it was Carol.
Madeline, will you play us just 3 minutes of the audio on this right now?
She's at it.
Easy it was. Of course, I had this medical gun to my head, right?
Who made the
Breast
potato
cancer,
recipe?
the tumor was
She's
this
not
big.
here.
I know.
What?
Mary's
Quiet.
not here.
Oh.
Look at that. Just when you said quiet, it decided.
Yeah.
Not you, them.
Not you. You're not supposed to be. It's been streaming fine the whole time. We go to watch it and it needs
Because
to
I
boot up.
watched the surgery. I insisted it was an excisional biopsy, and I said, I want to see what's going on. Doctor said, no, you don't. Yes, I do. So I got to watch it. And found out almost at the same time he did when they took out the tumor and they took a scalpel and he cut it in half and he says, uh-oh. And I said, what? What do you mean, uh-oh? And he said, you see these little gritty things? He said that's microcalcifications. That's not good. So Dr. McDougall said, I want you to go on this low-fat vegan diet, decline any chemotherapy, radiation, or any hormone therapy, because we want one variable, and we want that variable to be diet. You're going to survive, and we're going to show how powerful diet is. And that was 31 years ago.
Yay.
He was right. It is powerful. Okay, Lorraine mentioned Hawaii 5-0. Remember James MacArthur?
Had such a crush on him.
In the 60s, I was in graduate school
Oh,
at
I
the
knew his
University of
mother.
Hawaii.
Yeah.
But I
Not
also
really,
was
but Helen
having
did.
fun on the side. I did some acting, I did some modeling, tried out for a number of Hawaii 5-0 episodes, and I made 3 of them. I didn't get a lot of pictures because, it was no big deal then. You just, it's a one-day job or whatever. But I did get this picture with James MacArthur way back in 1968. I was also Miss Falls of Clyde. Anybody know the Falls of Clyde, where it is?
Wow.
Yeah. We put in a lot of effort to save that ship from being sunk. It was going to be part of a reef in the 1960s. And so they had a contest, and they wanted somebody to represent the Falls of Clyde. And so I entered, and I won. I also got a few other titles. I was married at the time, so I entered Mrs. Hawaii. I got that. I was Mrs. Pacific Yacht Club, got that one, and Miss
Okay,
Maritime.
thank you.
That was fun too.
She's
Miss
good,
Maritime.
isn't she?
Yeah.
You know, see, they were going to put her
97.
on chemo, and they said, no, you don't go on chemo, you go on plant-based. And
Yeah.
that was 31 years ago.
Did she have breast cancer?
Yeah, breast cancer, tumor this big.
Wow.
Wow. And what is her name?
Did they slice it open after they took it out of her?
After they took it out.
I was
If
gonna
it-
say,
You
'cause,
wouldn't
you know,
want to,
no.
No,
Once it's in you, and if
cut
they,
into it.
yeah,
and
because then it spreads.
Metastasis.
Yeah.
But even that is not necessarily detrimental if you retrain your body afterwards into a diet that cleanses. Yeah.
What is her name? The speaker?
Who was the speaker?
Oh, it's a name just came up a minute.
Well,
Ruth somebody.
Now, about our recipe, who brought in a recipe?
I brought in the
Here, mine is over there in front of you.
Who else brought in a recipe? Madeline did, I know.
Is that
Anybody
yours,
else?
Matt? Is that yours, Matt?
That one and the bigger page,
The
yeah.
bigger one, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh, there's some rice on this.
Oh, well. Not part of the recipe.
These are your two recipes that you brought tonight.
right.
I didn't get to bring
Am I
mine in.
supposed to be reading
Anybody
these
else?
and
Anybody in
judging
the
them?
contenders?
I think you are, yeah.
I should have had an hour.
Only 3? Is there only 3?
Yeah.
I
where's the
could
other
bring in
one?
a recipe.
Oh,
but
here,
I could bring one in.
You didn't bring a recipe?
I
Oh, we
brought
have to
one,
hand
but
it to
I'm
her?
not allowed.
They're two the same. I just thought if somebody wanted.
How many do you have,
Have
Miss
you,
Joyce?
have you tested them all,
Judge.
Joyce?
Judge.
I
How
want
many
you
do
all
you
to
have?
cook it, let me taste it. Reading it won't.
You should have. I think you've tasted most of it, all right?
Yeah.
You're going to taste it because we spilled stuff on it.
Well, no, because Gary's two recipes he brought tonight, and he wrote
1,
it up.
2.
Well, Joyce is diligently reading those.
There are
Can
5 of them.
Read
Yes,
away,
Gary,
woman.
Go ahead.
I make a suggestion?
Yes, please.
That we have a monthly feature, and I'd like to call it the. What could we call it? Maybe we could call it the monthly warning feature, like a warning, you know.
Warning.
That everybody's got to be cognizant of. So maybe it's something when you're shopping, or you know, you buy something that you think's okay, and when you read the small print, you really find it isn't. So my monthly warning for this month, and it's the first of the features, isn't it? So maybe somebody else could think of a warning for next month.
I have one.
Oh, have you got one already?
Yeah.
My warning is Morningstar products, because although we think that they are vegan, and some of them are, some of them aren't, because some of them they sneak egg products in there.
Yeah.
And but not all of them, but some of them they do,
Yeah,
some
and
of them
they
they don't.
This
has
has
got
got
egg whites in.
use egg.
That's got egg whites, yeah. The
They
Gorilla's
could
Crunch.
easily use egg replacer.
Yeah, yeah.
And why they don't, I don't know.
Yeah, so that's my
Oh, that's a good warning. Okay.
Actually, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I was gonna say.
Get
I
out.
bought something in Hannaford 2 weeks ago that were chicken. It said vegetarian.
Yeah,
In the vegetarian section,
yeah,
egg whites.
yeah.
Now we're going around the table.
Well, you see,
Well, it's
vegetarian
just a
probably doesn't
continuation
mind
of
egg
this
whites because it's
recipe.
not
Exactly.
meat. It's
But
vegan.
I
That
didn't know that.
you
See, when I think vegetarian, I think no animal products. That's
No,
what
that's
vegetarian
vegan.
means to me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, vegetarian means to the world there's no meat.
Right.
Not that there's no
Right.
animal products.
Who wrote this? Is this a continuation?
Yes.
You wrote it?
I can't tell you. I don't want to be influenced because you're my best buddy and my neighbor.
No, I don't know if this is part of this.
It is,
It's
yes.
one recipe.
It starts here,
And
goes to
goes
there.
there. So there are only 4.
Now,
Well, one
like,
has 2 on it.
like Alcoholics Anonymous, we're Vegetarians Anonymous. How can we support each
1,
other
2,
in any
3, 4
progress that we
recipes.
made this past month toward being vegetarian or vegan? Anybody want any confession so we can applaud you? I know I
What
saw
does
my
full
friend.
fat coconut milk mean?
I saw my friend
Is that what it looks
Madeline
like
last
fat?
night. We went to a community supper. There were at least 125 people being fed.
Where was this?
And they had killed a pig.
Oh.
They had this
Yeah, a tub
terrible
of, yeah.
red stuff on their meat. And my friend Madeline and I, we didn't.
Yep.
Our plates were clean of that. I don't know, I don't think I'll go back there anymore. It was the same place we went, Helen and Naomi. When Helen and Naomi churches did it, it was vegetarian. They had spaghetti and vegetarian meatballs, and they fed 97 people. Actually, it was 125 when you count all the helpers. But they served those people spaghetti and vegetarian meatballs, and the people liked it, and they were filled.
Nice.
Yeah. And by the way, this is a free community supper every Tuesday night. It's called Hot Meals during the cold months, January, February, March. But I saw my friend Madeline that stand. And Madeline was on meat when she first came here.
I could throw that at it.
You heard about Paranoids Anonymous? This guy wanted to join Paranoids Anonymous, but they wouldn't tell him where he held the meetings. All right, we're going around the table. We're going to start with our dear friend Debbie. And Debbie's going to tell us, what did you do with your life from age 31 to 40?
All right then.
Jeez.
31. 31 I began to decide that time might be right for us to start a family. So I did lots of research because I wasn't just going to let anybody bring my baby into the world. And after a year and a half of researching, I found a doctor who I was comfortable with, who wasn't going to play and do all his stuff. He was just going to let me be all natural and no drugs and all that. And so the Lord agreed with my timetable, and we got pregnant pretty much right away. So when I was 33, I had my son, and he didn't sleep for about 18 months, and I thought, what have I done? What have I done? I had this great life, and now I never get any sleep. And literally 3 days of sleeping through the night, I said, oh, I could do that again. And I thought, are you crazy? What are you talking about? So the plan was then to have my daughter. And again, I wanted spring babies because I felt that they were a good 5 and they do better in school. Not to mention being a teacher, I'd only have to do a few weeks before I'd have the summer break. So I had my daughter at 36. And Gary and I decided if we were having kids and putting them in care, why have them? So one of us was going to stay home. And being as he's British, and at the time you couldn't teach unless you were an American, and he wasn't happy to be American, I went out to work and Gary stayed home and cooked, cleaned, does the laundry, takes care of the wood, the house, and everything. And so I live happily ever after, going to work and being the man. Where I do not come home with a beer and turn on the TV and say, where's my dinner? But nearly. Very nearly. No beer.
So is your arrangement the same still now?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it is.
Is it? So I didn't go to work. So I didn't work all day today.
No, you go to work. Of course, you have no
okay.
children to take care of, but you still take care of all the laundry and the cooking and the cleaning and all that good stuff. None of that's changed.
He has a brother, right?
I like that.
Don't forget the ironing. Did I forget the ironing? He does the ironing.
You want to work your weight in
What
gold,
did you do between 31 and 40?
How old are your kids now? Well, my daughter's 15, my son's going to be 18 next month. Well, next week, really.
Yeah, on the 4th of it.
Yeah.
And aren't you happy you did what you did?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Great
Very
You
nice.
should see my children. He did a great job. And I'm telling you, like, just quick story, right? He says, bring this to the children. And I look at that, I said, what's that? He said, oh, it's the dessert. I'm like, Gaz, he cut the grape in half to make eyes. He had little raisin mouth. He had curly Q yogurt hair back when we were doing the,
And
we
he had a
weren't
sweet
doing
burger.
vegan.
He had a sweet potato burger in the shot.
Yeah, and I'm like, are you kidding me? And then one night, he was out. He actually worked when the kids went to school. And, Mommy, make me apple fish. Honey, what's an apple fish? Oh, well, Daddy peels the skin and he makes it straight and he carves the fish and then he breaks it off and wiggles it in my mouth. So, of course, I take that, I carve it like nothing. And I go, there's a nurse shark, there's a beluga whale. And I'm like, Gaz, are you kidding me? He comes home. She goes, Daddy, show Mommy. I want a fish playing basketball in a wheelchair. I'm like, are you kidding me on an apple? He was amazing. And I owe all of the wonderfulness of my children to him.
Well, it was a joint effort.
No.
Thank you, Debbie. Andrew Wynn.
Well, in the early 30s, I was working in as a lab technician for a few years, and then I went through a 2-year rehab counseling program, and then after that worked for some years with the state as a rehab counselor. And during this time, our first 3 children were born, at least in the end of my 31st year. And then 3 years later, Cindy, and then 3 years after that, Cheryl Lee. The twins were born in my early 40s. So it was an interesting time.
Very good.
31 to 40, huh? Mm-hmm. I had stopped working because I got injured at my job.
She was a corrections officer.
And I spent, and I'm not kidding, I spent 2 years laying around smoking pot. I'm not joking. As bad as that sounds, that's what I did. Because I was so depressed because I couldn't work. And then I said, God, I can't just spend the rest of my life laying around smoking pot. So I went to college. And I started college when I was 33. And it took me 4 or 5 years to get my associates because I went part-time. But at the same time, I was also beginning my journey with rescuing animals.
Yeah.
So I was very busy.
Yes, which you're doing Albany.
And I graduated 3rd in my class.
Wow.
Oh, because when you go to college in your 30s, you're actually there to get good grades.
Yeah.
And I loved
Yeah,
it.
I know.
It was great.
Tell us about
After
you.
you
This
were
will be
no
interesting.
longer-
Barb, 31 to 40.
I was hoping to go back to work.
Raising a couple of kids and getting divorced. In that order.
Jeez. Well,
It was expensive, wasn't it?
Hmm?
It was expensive.
What?
Cost a lot of money to raise a couple of kids, right?
I didn't do it by myself. That was after they pretty well had been finished that I got divorced.
I thought you meant the divorce was expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
yeah.
That probably was too.
No, it wasn't
Doug.
bad.
They tell me I missed all of that these people have talked about. I guess when I was 31, I'd already graduated from Cornell, and I was there too, like she was, to get good grades. But I didn't want to settle down. I had career offers in agricultural economics, agribusiness. So I went back to the printing trade, and I traveled the whole United States several times over for about 5 years in newspaper production. And that's when I did all my dancing and did all my trains. And by the time 5 years was up, I actually had applications in. And finally, I got a call one day from the federal government. And it seemed like they were going to put an end to my little traveling. They offered me something called a career, which is the last damn thing on my mind about at
Much
that
rather
time.
dance.
But I took it and I stayed 26 years. It's amazement. But I was a community development specialist, developing rural areas for economic purposes all throughout New York State.
That's impressive.
And that's why I retired from there, but now I'm going to try to retire from the farm again. Good stuff.
Doug. Terrific.
You surprise me every time, Doug.
Yeah, that's what she says.
It really does. You're such a very soft-spoken, unassuming kind of person, and he's got this whole wild life.
Before we go on to Joyce, couldn't you give Madeline some of our good food? I mean, could you give
Johanna,
Johanna.
Yes.
would you like something? Could I get you something?
Yeah, give her something.
I'm good because I do the
Oh,
raw
that's
thing
right,
only,
she doesn't-
so
she
don't
needs
worry,
to- Yeah.
don't worry about it.
Do we have
I'm just
anything raw
happy
here?
to be here.
Do we have anything raw?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Joyce, no,
The
let's
fruit,
go.
this Ruffy is raw, right?
Yeah.
The Ruffy's raw.
Later.
I want to know who made the potato veggie tray.
She's not here. Her
Oh,
name's
that's
Mary.
right, you already said that.
Oh, it was good.
How can you top whatever they all said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
You
know,
got some
Joyce.
good
I
ones.
think you can
Not that good.
run
At
in there.
age 30, the doctor said I have to make up my mind whether I want children or not because the older you get, the harder it is. So I didn't have children. So I worked, I guess, at RCA Victor. My mom died when I was 35, so that was my first real loss. And even though I wasn't fond of my mother, I cried, because I never lost other than a dog before. So it wasn't the best of times.
Oh. There must have been some redeeming feature in that decade, though.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, I played and worked and had a lot of fun. In those days, I worked 5 days a week, came home, swam, church, horseback riding, tennis, as much as I could cram in a weekend, because I worked all week.
Yeah.
Now I don't have to cram it all.
I wonder why they told you you couldn't have children at 30. I never even considered.
No, he said you
the
could,
fact
not that you couldn't, but the older you get, the less energy you're gonna have.
Well, that's true.
That's
but, you know.
what he said.
But they keep you young, right?
He must not have known Joyce. She has more energy than most people I know at your age that are my age. She has more energy than me. I'm younger.
That's correct.
That's right. You're a busy girl.
Nice. Children are a great comfort in your old age, and they help you reach it faster.
You think I got this all by
Reach
myself?
it faster.
Oh, that's interesting.
Tony, what were you doing 31 to 40? Or are you in
He's
your
I was gonna say,
not
are
So
you
there's some,
31 yet?
there's some
I
here that
am
aren't even
way,
30.
way beyond that.
Really?
Yes,
Really?
yes. My birthday's coming up next month, so
So is mine.
close to getting to 50.
Wow.
Wow.
You have a baby face. That's why we wouldn't have
Yeah.
guessed that.
Yeah. Lot more grays too in the last year or so. I've got a lot of
She
grays.
still got hair. Sorry, I didn't mean that you don't have hair. I mean, well, forget it.
Let's see, 31 to 40, I was doing a career switch, probably was the big thing then. I was leaving my job working as a counselor and went back to college for computer science, wound up getting a degree in that, and then eventually started working with the state. And,
Where'd you go to college, Tom?
well, my bachelor's, I went downstate to a college called St. Thomas Aquinas, and that was in a little town called Spark Hill, New York, near Nanuet. And it was like one of those little places, kind of like Nassau, where you just kind of blink and you're right through it. And then Hudson Valley. You know, I always kind of keep going back to Hudson Valley because it's just such a great little college. So, and they have a lot to offer.
Certainly is.
Yes. And that was really it. And just kind of got into my career, and then it's like as soon as you get that good job, that good paying job, everything else in life just, kind of becomes boring sometimes.
Yeah, that's good. Jerry, 31 to 40.
31 to 40, wow, who can remember that far back? Well, oh yeah, I got married at 31. Thank you for reminding me. So we were at the time we lived in Brooklyn.
Yay, Brooklyn.
Yeah, so that was an interesting couple of years, and then we after a couple of years of that, Debbie was changing her job, and so we were looking at different places, and one of the places I always remember was Norwich, New York. She had a job interview there, and then another time we actually drove to, I think we drove to Albany, didn't we? And we kind of explored, and we went, and it was a beautiful spring day, and I think we sat in downtown Albany, and we said, wow, this doesn't seem like a bad place. And then a few months later, Debbie got the job interview at Averill Park, and then boom, she got the job. So I guess a lot of that time was, moving around and moving from Brooklyn to here and getting established, buying a house again and all that stuff, But, and of course having kids.
6 and 39.
That was the big thing.
Yeah.
Did you own a house in Brooklyn?
No, we rented when we first moved back here. And then of course, the kids come along and it's pretty life changing, isn't it? For those who've done that.
Her name is Ruth Heydrich. Right?
Yeah, that's it. We just saw that. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Naomi, I want to hear what you were doing when you were 31 to 40. Or are you 31 to 40 right now?
Right now.
Not too far. I got married. I graduated from college.
Wow.
Mhm.
Big.
Mhm. That was a big accomplishment. I worked in the field of social work with children, and then later on with the elderly, some with severe dementia. And looked after my mother, of course, and my stepdad, Richard, his caretaker. And looked after the kids, my nieces and nephews, and took my only living my grandmother-in-law to church many times. and had lots of family functions, and here I am now. Not too much older than that.
Were you already vegetarian or vegan?
I've always been vegetarian. My mother raised me, and my dad raised me as vegetarian.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and then over the last several years, then I went vegan.
Oh, you're vegan now. She's a great raw fan, raw food. Helen, 31 to 40.
Yep, I was born in 1929 and didn't get married until much later. Couldn't find a man in Pennsylvania.
Do you hear it, folks?
Mhm.
She didn't get married until much later.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What else, Helen?
I finally got married and husband died. I married again. He died. So whatever, 2 times.
And Helen was a practical nurse or a nurse's aide?
Nurse's aide.
Nurse's aide. Yeah. And Helen's been an Adventist, right?
Most of my life.
And
Since I was
Adventists,
6
as you
years
know, are
old.
vegetarian.
I was 6 years
I
old.
didn't
My
know
daddy
that.
joined the Adventist church.
Oh, well, you were 6 when, yeah, she was 6 years old when her daddy took her to the Adventist church.
Yeah.
Were your parents vegetarians also?
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
I never even heard of a vegetarian until I was, I'm not kidding, until I was in my 30s. I've never met
So
somebody
this
that
is the
didn't
first
eat
time
meat.
you met a second generation vegetarian?
That's very true.
Third generation.
Now, were you, was
Yeah.
that in Pennsylvania?
Yes.
The Seventh-day Adventists?
Yes, Norristown, Pennsylvania,
Okay.
near Philadelphia, about 18 miles from Philadelphia.
Is there a religious aspect to being a vegetarian?
Seventh-day
Yes,
Adventists
why are
vegetarian.
Adventists
Why not?
vegetarian? That's a good question. Why are Adventists, Seventh-day Adventists vegetarians? Do you know?
Well, we have the health message, okay?
Health message.
The health message,
Uh-huh.
and just fruits and vegetables, keep you healthier and give you more energy, and promote a healthy lifestyle.
So it didn't have anything to do
Well, it
with
had
not
something to
eating
do
meat.
with, all this meat eating did not start until after the flood.
That's
Up
what
until that
vegetarians
time, God
say.
said you eat grain and you eat fruit. And so this meat eating thing didn't start until after the flood.
Well,
Well, we should get we should have a Seventh-day Adventist. We should have Dr. Celestin, who is the
Yeah,
chief
that'd be
allergist
fantastic.
at Albany Med, and he's runs this Seventh-day church that we go to. We should have him come and tell us.
Yeah, I started
what
going to your
allergies
church.
are then.
I started going to your
It's not
church too when I
next
like
month.
it. Yeah, I just started.
I'm not a Seventh-day
Down in
Adventist.
Croatia.
I'm a Methodist.
When she does go to church, we pick her up every
Yeah.
Sabbath, and when she goes to
Yeah.
church
I have a
with
better
us.
attendance record than they do.
She goes to different churches.
Yeah, I go
Yeah.
to
Have you been
church,
to
yeah.
Church of the Covenant, that circle
Yes,
church in
I
April
went there,
Park?
and I'll go there Friday.
Oh, really?
I will, yeah. I've been there to all of them.
Is that the
That's the
church that's
Friday,
round?
Yeah.
That's round?
Yeah.
What'd you say, Matt?
It's
That's
round,
where,
right?
that's
What
where you
did-
came for
what did-
the potluck, Matty.
Oh, okay, that's where it
That's
was.
the right, yeah,
Who
that's
just said that
the.
it's round so that the devil cannot ever corner you or
Yes, that's so the
something?
devil can't.
Never heard of that. We've been going there almost 20 years.
What town is that?
April Park.
Park.
It's right on the 43.
Pat Sarr, what did you do, 31 to 40?
I also got married and had 2 children. So I spent most of my time figuring out how to raise 2 boys and
Survive it.
learn how to do organic gardening, because I was basically a suburbanite and never did much besides a few tomatoes here and there, so I was busy doing that.
Were you at the library then?
At the very end of that period I started.
Yeah, I remind you again, she was our director
Yeah.
here of this
Yeah.
library for 15 years.
Do you have a degree
No, I
in
have I have a teaching degree.
teaching degree?
But in a small community like this, they look for a degree, but it doesn't have to be in library science.
You were a teacher of English and
I think
in
you need a
Schenectady?
bachelor's.
In Schenectady Middle School and High School.
Middle school. Well, now we're going to hear from all over the world.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, indeed, and it's very, very difficult to make, you all are able to clip it so short. So I was already in Zimbabwe. I had started my own school for drama and dance, and it was like the first sort of real international integrated school. Zimbabwe was just after independence when I got there in '81. And so it was a very exciting time for me to, I came out of a career in acting and film and television in Europe and met this African gentleman, and I was kind of sick of you're a somebody in Europe, and I wanted to learn the real thing, what was going on in the world. And so I went with this African gentleman to Zimbabwe, had gotten married. So by the time I was 30, I was already in Zimbabwe and ran the school. And then my first husband got this Fulbright scholarship to go to New York. And so I had to give up that whole school.
Whoa.
And but it was, of course, exciting to go to America together and, you know, start a whole new chapter. And, of course, first in New York, I was at Columbia University, and then moved to Los Angeles because he transferred together with the chairperson of the department. And I had started writing at that time, so I wrote a bunch of screenplays and worked on my writing skill and acted in all sorts of things. But I, did want to, also decided then that I wanted to go back and do a master's in college as well. I applied in Los Angeles. We got divorced. It was a lot of pressure for a young, very talented African gentleman, and me, his wife, he being the student and me being the student wife, and everybody always thinking, because I already had a career in acting and film and running the school, etc. Everybody always thought, oh, it's just his wife's talent, but he's actually a very, very talented young man. But anyway, there was just too much conflict to continue that marriage. And I applied to Columbia University, got in, came back from Los Angeles. This is all in that decade. I still didn't have any kids. I really, really wanted to have kids. I did. It all falls in there. All of Columbia also falls into that decade. So I did 3 theses in filmmaking, writing, directing, and producing.
Wow.
And made a bunch of films, got into a lot of festivals, never went to any of them because I always thought, oh, I go when my big movies are coming out, which never happened. But of course it was a very exciting time, and I taught, I was very, very lucky. I taught at Columbia in the German department, got a real lecturer position there while, and that's how I paid myself through Columbia University, because I was not coming from any kind of money, and so I just had to get in there on talent in the first place and work myself through that. So I did all the jobs I could get, from cleaning to party serving to translating to, I had a job at a book agent, and it was nonstop, 24/7. Everything was scheduled. But it was a really, really full decade, 30 to 40.
Indeed it was.
And then met another gentleman and just decided, toward the end of my 30s, I just decided the next guy who comes along is going to be the father of my children. I'm going to make this work. Because I'm going to have a family now, which was kind of silly, as an approach to, because I'd met many really awesome intellectual, grand personalities, and there was chemistry, and there should have been a relationship, but either they were married or I was in another thing, or it just never worked out until then. The great spiritual connections and intellectual connections that I had. So I just said, I want children, I'm going to make this work. And so I did.
I'm going to save this.
But I had my first child at 40, so that's already, in
Next
the next
month.
decade. But I was working on that, you know,
okay.
at the same time as I was finishing Columbia and making little movies and so forth. Yeah.
Very exciting, very exciting.
Yeah. And at the same, as regards food, what is interesting in that whole decade, I came to Zimbabwe not really eating much meat, and because my whole acting career, all my life I always was like eating salads, and everybody was always calling me a rabbit, and but I wasn't decidedly, but I did eat a lot of cheese. And then I got to Zimbabwe, and suddenly, you know, the good meat of all the wild animals was like, you know, this is healthy meat, you know, you can do this. And it took me a long time to realize, when I was back actually here in the States doing a lecture on, I had this flash, and I was saying, you know, well, of course, when I was in an environment where there was healthy meat, then I felt it was okay, you know, because it was wild and it was not excessive, etc. And it sort of went bing in my head. I had 2 really severe kidney infections. And, you know, it just then struck me that, you know, all the healthiest meat in the world is still not going to prevent that load that you're putting on your digestive system, especially your whole kidneys and liver and that whole system. And so it took me a long time to realize that that really wasn't an option, even though I had kind of decided that I'm going to be as normal as I can be, still as organic as possible. I had a big garden and in Zimbabwe. Lots of good stuff. There was a huge avocado tree in the backyard and mangoes. And, you know, it all just grows, and
Where is
you can
this?
eat it. Zimbabwe is just north of South Africa. It's kind of on a high plateau, and it used to be called the food basket of
Breadbasket of Africa.
Of Africa, yeah.
This
Not really, yeah.
Was this before, what's his name?
This was in the beginning of Mugabe, and I actually met Mugabe many times when I was there, and he was a very, very fine intellectual. He became hardened when the whole plan of the new country did not fly, because the British just wouldn't allow it. You know, the whole land buyback that they were supposed to do, and devaluation of the currency, etc. The neocolonialism is terrible in all of Africa. It's very, very hard to overcome that. I did a documentary in Zimbabwe in 1990, 10 years after independence, and Zimbabwe still only owned, as I interviewed the Minister of Agriculture and the Minister of Labor, etc. Zimbabwe only owned 13% of its own country.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Everything else is owned by whom? Guess.
Owned by who?
Guess.
The British.
Oh.
British.
No, international corporations. Neocolonialism is not necessarily the former country. It's corporations. So De Beers, Anglo-American, large pharma and agro industries. You know, I used to say, well, all of Africa grows the soft drugs for the West that nobody can live on: tea, coffee, tobacco, sugar. You know, all that stuff that that doesn't feed anybody, right? That's
Joyce, who is our winner?
Who's the winner?
That's
Ready?
part of my life.
You want me to say it out loud?
Oh, yes, out loud.
The winner is sweet potato quinoa patty. And I have a runner-up. That does any good.
Okay, who's the runner-up?
Coconut almond chocolate chip.
Oh, yeah.
Did we get a taste of that somewhere?
So I don't know where you want these.
So Joyce, come over here and I'll give you the money for the winner. Who has to sign a receipt?
Do you want to keep the recipe somewhere?
It should be public.
Say it again.
Public.
That's the, this is for the mirror.
This is, raw food. This is, yeah, this is steaks. That's funny.
Now I know where we met Joanna.
Oh, the vegan
At
festival.
the vegan festival.
In the Polish, Polish
last-
Community Club or whatever?
Yeah.
Last fall?
Are you passing them around?
Yes, totally.
Oh, sure.
Music bed.
I tried it. I bought a bunch of her treats last time I was there at her feast. Oh, yum.
Oh, our next feast is on Sunday, and it's called, is it Easter?
No, it's Tom Sunday.
It's Palm Sunday.
And it's actually called African Finger Foods, our favorite African finger foods. I
Pass them along.
this
I'm trying to think, what did we buy?
I don't know, but whatever it was, it's delicious.
Stuff like that.
And then you go to the, maybe the
I have a lot of that stuff in the freezer, but a lot of times I still want to go down to my corner so well.
But it's the second line
Gotta do
you
it
turn
this way.
left,
So.
and you go down the road.
Are they the same thing
It's
or different?
awful.
And then you turn
Yep.
over the bridge. The bridge that kind of goes in
The French cuisine.
Spaghetti and no meat?
Yes.
Wow. That was.
Well, thank you. Yeah, you know, we did the Valentine's afterthought after that.
See, this was
Which
very
was-
simple.
Said Joyce Esparta is my best buddy. She didn't pick me.
And this one is gonna be again an exploration. I like to explore and invent new things for these friends at the factory.
Children, all children seated, please. All children seated. Joyce, here's your $25 for being judge.
No, you gave it to me.
No, I gave you $50 for the winner.
Oh, right in her pocket.
Oh,
So did you?
Oh, you're right, I'm
No, did-
Gary does.
Thank you.
Oh.
Congratulations, Gary.
Where does this come from?
My husband.
All right. I'm going to do something nice with it.
Yes.
Geez, I know an animal organization you could donate it to.
yeah.
Now, one thing I wanted to point out to you, this
very
is
good.
very soul. Can you see it, folks?
Did she?
What?
Love your mama, love your mumber. You know what you do when you drink milk? You rob it of the calf. His milk, God gave him the milk. He didn't give it to us.
That's true.
And look at this poor little calf. He's been robbed of his mother and he's been
Madeline,
robbed
I
of
should
his
get your
milk.
phone number because I wanted to call you just in case I have
Folks,
anything
is
on
there anything you
cats.
want to say about next week's, next month's menu or next month's activity or bring in a warning? We gotta do that, bring in a
Can we
warning.
have it outside if it's warm enough?
What, Madeline?
I was teasing. I said, can we go outside if it's warm enough?
Yeah. I was looking for some.
Do you have a phone? You want to put it in your phone?
No, I don't have a phone.
Oh.
Do-
Yeah, that's
So,
that's
uh,
insane.
on paper.
I think, who was talking about Saitan? Was that you, Maddie?
Can I just say, we didn't hear what Glendora did from 31.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Well, here's what Glendora was doing.
All right, write it down.
Yeah, we got it. I'm going to give this away.
Oh.
But I,
Yeah, we're really, thank you. Here's what Glendora was doing.
Here. Is that yours?
Yeah.
Oh. Yay.
no,
But what is that?
Those are yours.
Well, it's a television show for children.
Where?
Here, Deb.
First of all, on Channel 9, Manchester, New Hampshire, just outside of Boston. Then it was next in Boston, Channel 4,
I don't know yet.
WBZ-TV. And next it was in WRGB TV Channel 6.
I just need a couple
Oh.
of tab off.
I
of
didn't
that.
see anything on TV. It was great, it was great fun.
Thanks.
And
Yeah, they never usually have.
they don't, I need a careful
You can't look.
And then, I went, my husband in the meantime was a reporter in the Buffalo Evening News. He was a great writer. He liked to write about small people doing great things. He's an extremely compassionate man. And he knew the value of life, that you live it for others, you don't live it for yourself. And I went back to Buffalo, and I was searching for God all this time. And this was a very, very busy job, as you can imagine, doing this. So the time with God, I would go and go and wait and wait and wait and try to hear and try to hear, and it never clicked. So I went back and I did that, and then I taught church school during the week, Monday through Friday, in Buffalo, which is a very large city. There's Delaware Avenue, over here's the Italians, and over here are the Negroes. East and West, never did they meet. But the Negro children did have to go over to this white Italian public school, and the church was right in the middle. And it was the Asbury, Delaware Methodist Church. And so this, the secretary of the church and I, we started, these little children would go down the sidewalk and they looked poor and they looked hungry, and we decided to invite them in for lunch. And then we gave them prayer lessons and we gave them Bible lessons. And it really grew and grew and grew. And then they started coming in after school. So I did that for 4 years. I'm still looking for God. I'm still looking for God. I'm still looking for God. And I said, well, maybe if I go to the university, I can learn about the universe, which is God. So I enrolled at the State University of New York at Buffalo as a graduate student. I had to go be a graduate student because I was a graduate, but I had to take undergraduate courses in physics and math. I thought, this way I'll find God. This way I'll find what the universe is. And I think that brings me up to when they walked on the moon. Was that 1969?
It was.
It was.
And I went to Harvard Summer School and I took calculus. And now we're at 19, now we're at, yeah. Okay, what happened that last year? Oh, and then I took courses in the State University of New York at Buffalo. And one little boy came in, and I couldn't be there, and Nancy, the secretary, was all alone, and he came in, and he was bewildered by it. It was a women's group. They were coming, and they were going, and they were doing this, and they were doing that, these Methodist women. And so Nancy, the administrator had sent Nancy out on an errand, and she was late. So the poor little kid was all alone with all these women. And Nancy came, and then the little boy said his prayer. And he said, thank you, God, for the moon. Thank you, God, for the sun. Thank you, God, for Miss Nancy, who is late. Okay, folks, this is good. Anything, suggestions for next week? Did you have a good time this week?
Did.
Yeah, we sure did.
Okay.
Boy.
Glad it came. Well, I wanted to tell you about something else exciting that I'm doing, because I'm just seeing Colin Campbell. Dr. Colin Campbell wrote the China study, the biggest human nutrition study ever done in the world. And of course the findings are very, very clearly that on a plant-based diet, the more plant-based, the better the health of humans and the less cancer and degenerative diseases. That's him over there. He is also, and somebody representing his office, on an online summit, which is a global conference that I'm pulling together, and it's called Raw Recovery.
Oh.
How delicious raw foods can restore your health at any age. So that's the summit, and many people from all over the world are speaking. I'm interviewing them, and then these interviews are accessible to people who are signing up. It's a free event. It launches in May, on May 3rd, and currently I'm putting all these interviews together. And I just wanted to let you know that I am very, very happy that I have Paul McCartney, and we're all of the generation who still know who Paul McCartney is.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney is supporting the event, and his
Beatles
office.
singer. Paul McCartney's Beatles singer.
Oh yeah.
Who didn't know who Paul McCartney
The
was?
Linda McCartney
Helen?
food
Helen,
is
yeah.
available in the US.
Yeah.
When you talk to Paul.
Why? What is not accessible?
In the United States, you can't buy. In the UK, there's a whole range of Linda McCartney
Yeah, that's a
food,
good idea. Take the ingredients.
vegetarian food.
Yeah.
And it's in the freezers, it's in the supermarkets, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
and it's not available here.
Tony, are you done with that now?
Right.
Not available in the US
It's
at all.
very, very difficult to import anything into the US. You know, having a food business, I've learned that. And many businesses have tried, European business in particular, have tried to set foot or have some kind of representation in the US. It's very, very difficult. Most of them have failed or sold their, licensed their branch out.
Maybe that's the time.
Yeah.
So, anyway, sorry. I
Yeah, but
interrupted you.
that's the situation. And you know that Paul McCartney has been a veggie, as they say in England, for 40 years now. And his Meat-Free Monday operation is what's going to support our event, Raw Recovery.
Hooray!
And they got the products and they love my products.
So where is this event going to be on May 3rd, you said? Or May-
It starts on May 3rd, but it's online. It's all on the computer. So
I was hoping it was a live event. I want to meet Paul.
Maybe you could Skype with him.
Library
Oh,
nothing is like
Library closes
live.
for 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know, we're trying to get it all cleaned up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can come on Sunday.
What do you think? Do you think there's like 7 feet of snow out there?
Well, you can be.
It was snowing when I came in earlier. Wasn't snowing when you got here?
I think it'll be okay. How far long is your trip?
I put 7 miles. Much closer than you.
By 2, only 2 miles.
You helping her? I don't know.
Yes, I'm just, that's somebody else's, is that yours? Okay.
Debbie, would you take all those down there?
Those things, they look good.
Sunday.
Great.
Oh, yeah. I was part of one of those health
Pat.
studies.
Yes.
Yeah, they evidence health study to,
I'm folding up the tablecloth.
vegetarians are doing
Sorry, and they're falling over.
I think so. I think you can leave the tables up.
Whites in it, which I never
Until today?
Yeah.
Until Gary.
You know what, I still eat eggs, so I know.
Yes, I'm over here.
But I don't think we tablecloth.
Yeah, I think so. I think you can leave it the way it was.
Well, no, little by little.
Tony, you live in Troy?
Yes, I do. Well, no, I actually live in Winenskill, over by Hudson Valley Community College.
No, I don't know. I think they belong to
Those are mine.
Oh, those are yours.
Pat, would you
Okay.
look down about the computer there?
I'll take it apart as soon as I can get back.
No, I was not in touch with them. I mean,
This is the way
it doesn't fall into the
see, I've
decade.
got to
I've
run
had to be
some
talked
chores
about
to
my
do.
life.
Bye, Doug.
Don't go out that door.
Can we go out there or not?
Down in Troy? So you're gonna be ready down in Troy, and then you're going
I'll bring,
It's locked.
yeah, I'm gonna be sure to bring some
Albany,
bowls
and then
and
you wanna
some
go Russell Sage.
silverware next time.
Thank you, Doug.
I'm gonna try Saturday. It's Easter that Saturday, I gotta work during the day. That day, yeah.
At the group home.
Yep.
Bye, Doug. Take care.
Bye.
Yeah, because there's like a couple different ways you can go. When you get off the exit ramp for 787, instead of taking left, you can take it right. You go down for half a mile till you come to the next light, but then you kind of veer to the right. But this is the same way. It's just
Except for
going.
tomorrow.
Yeah, this is.
That's for Troy.
Yeah, to get over
But
to Troy.
once when I went to the theater, they sent me all the way that way, and I had to go all the way that way to school. And I thought, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, this is, because let's see, you go over the bridge. Yeah, bear right on the front street, it kind of curves around. Okay, and then as soon as you bear right and you come down off of the bridge, there's gonna be parking lots right there on the left-hand side. Right after there's a Jewish temple there. Yeah, right after the Jewish temple, there's a big parking lot right there. You can just park right in there, and that's
We didn't talk about
Glendora,
we didn't talk about the menu
yeah, I
for next.
already got the time off
next
from work.
month,
I'm
did we?
going. So.
We didn't talk about the menu for next month.
No, we didn't.
But that's all right. We'll come up with something.
I'm gonna bring the banana bread.
You're gonna bring the banana bread?
Maddie, are you
I'm
up
gonna
to-
bring.
Yes, bring with the banana bread.
Yeah.
Can
I
I,
think I might do something with side tan because some of the people were talking about side tan.
Time, I
Bring a
think.
very, very nice part salad.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about it
Might be
later.
one.
Only if you're
It might
lucky.
feel like fruit.
Only if you're
Glendora, are
lucky.
you going to this animal thing
We're
tomorrow?
gonna do our thing again at the church, our potluck in April.
You don't know yet.
About our
don't know.
None of us know yet.
Will you call me up and tell me about it?
What?
Will you call me up and tell me about it? Will you call me up and tell me about it tomorrow
Well,
morning?
he already explained it.
He knows more about it.
Oh, that's not good.
Where'd Tony go? He's
there.
there.
They can't make it the third one.
You met some interesting people too, right?
Oh, I did.
well, get a hold of Glendora and tell her so she can tell us.
Yeah.
What else do we have to do?
Just fold the tablecloth.
Do the tables stay the way they are?
All right, Tony, good seeing you again, man.
See you.
Take care of yourself.
Maybe I'll see you at the movie thing.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, my kid was
Second Friday?
Oh, it was on the table. Where's the plastic that we covered? You made that?
went to another.
Oh, I took it. I'm sorry.
Food in there?
Yeah, I thought it was a
You
throwaway.
can have it.
Good, I'm glad you
I thought it was a throwaway. Do you want it back?
Well, it's not a throwaway.
Oh, that's all right.
What did you put in there to sweeten it?
Yes.
What was it?
I just bought it that way.
Oh, it came like that. Oh, okay. Maddie. I'm terrible with names. I'll have to ask you like that. Bye, Helen.
Well, there's Doug and I are going on.
She paints and she,
Oh, okay.
Glendora, this is nice.
Yes, I will.
it depends. How much it costs? About, you have a gallery up there because there's a horse town she paints.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Well, then I'll tell him, Naomi paid for me last year. You know, the 20 of it was for Maddie.
I think
You never know.
yeah,
I see what happens.
the gallery up there.
Excellent.
And, I can't remember.
The basket, see the white basket? See the white basket there?
Saying that
Sounds good. I bet they're, and my car actually bought and buying Let me get my stuff out in the car.
All right, well, we'll see you, okay?
Okay, Naomi,
Have a
take
good
care.
night. Take care.
Or at least get them on this table for now.
Who's taking this?
Glendora, do you want this, or do you want me to have it, or?
it was their property. They painted it and out of love for.
Sandra, you don't have to, dear.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Glendora, we'll call you on Saturday to see if you want to go.
Yeah, and will you please call me when you leave your
Oh,
house?
I'm so sorry, Andy.
Yes, it's the first time when you.
Good food, Maddie. Thank you.
I enjoyed it.
Okay,
Good
will
night.
do.
Good night.
Okay, good night, Glendora.
Good night, my little friend Helen.
I mean, they don't get whipped, but they're still, you know, enticed to, and you know, all the energy running through the body, you wanna go chase around and stuff.
Because they test them out around real.
Good night. Okay, I'll see you on Sunday.
Yes,
Just
I
give me a
will
ring
be.
and let me know what time you're
Okay.
So, yeah, so you see, this opens up a whole new world.
Good night, Al.
And we finished
Good night, Al.
reading, Shanti's book.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
you get
and,
on the elevator.
I'm very sorry. I'm still working on the China study and I'm still working on the
Tony knows.
You know what the fast track to the China study is? Of course, the movie, right?
Uh-huh.
Forks Over Knives.
Oh, okay. No, I did not know that.
Oh, you did not? Okay,
Thank you,
the
Glendora.
Forks Over Knives puts the main information of the China study plus Esselstyn's work together. And it's just really fun to watch.
Well, I can go out that way and carry stuff.
Okay,
At the same time.
this or this?
It's a documentary. It's called Forks Over Knives.
Okay.
You're not gonna throw this away?
No.
Forks Over Knives is a wonderful movie. And then there's another follow-up, but.
Is it raining or doing anything else?
I mean, good night to Andrew. Then you don't have to read
No,
us.
let me just say good night to everyone.
Well, the China's good. If you like graphs and statistics, the
You're
China's
reading
good.
the Chinese studies.
Oh, are you?
Well, it's not even you.
Right.
That's not that big.
Oh, I'm gonna help you take your stuff out.
I mean, I
Well,
just
the men
read
are gonna
her,
help.
you know, like a little, you know, what do you call it, a letter at a time.
Oh, they are,
you know.
okay.
Helen, you got your seat, you got your belt.
Glendora, are the guys gonna help you?
But, you know,
I don't know,
We'll make sure they.
do you wanna take me home?
obviously, I drive through it.
Who's driving, you or Maddie? Or you're both?
Separate cars.
What?
We have separate cars.
What about Tony? Will he help you carry stuff?
Go to school for a half hour, back in the car.
Madeline, do you wanna drive me home, honey?
You need a ride home?
Yes.
Sure.
We want you to get
Oh, wait, I have a
help.
bunch of stuff in my car. Can you give her a ride, Joyce?
Yeah, I'm wondering why the guys can't
They
help.
will, they
Okay.
will, they will.
Tony,
I'll get it.
Yes,
would you load up,
Sure.
Joyce's car for me?
Well,
I-
can you
I have-
take her home in your
Remember about
car?
the
Or is it
China-
a-
yeah.
I got a Jeep if she can hop in the Jeep.
Probably not.
Most of the information. I just
Can you raise your legs high to get into my Jeep?
China study,
By
but at the same
epidemiology,
time.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I have 7 things, Tony.
Will they all fit in your car?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here they are, Tony. 1,
Where's my note for you?
4, 5.
Blood work on all of them.
Uh,
Yeah, but no, I mean, they actually got